Alright guys, very good afternoon. Welcome back into the flight deck and welcome to the finale of Season 3 of my streaming of a pilot's life career here. It's been a busy couple of months. I'm surprised how quickly we got this month done. It seemed to go pretty quickly. Maybe it's just me. There were a little bit of stress in the early parts, but still it seems like I got this month done pretty quickly. But it seems only fitting that we, of course, start off this last episode with a quick little review of what we've done in a pilot's life here. So here we are, the snapshot, of course, of our career to date. As you can see, we got about 124 experience points, not a whole lot, but we're due for a promotion at about 200, so we're about halfway to our next promotion, which means probably about one more month that will get us that promotion. We have flown for about 70 hours of flying time in our career, 17 different destinations, 30 different flights. It's been a lot of fun. I've visited some places that I probably would never have visited otherwise, so I think that alone was probably worth it. As you can see here, I think we saw this last time, but here we've got last month, because we did the 2 long-haul flights, was a very big month, 18 hours in a single month. Most of the other hours where we've done just a couple of short flights per month, it hasn't been that much. Already, because of these long flights, my Air Transat hours have overtaken my Encore hours, where although I did lots of flights, I think I did about 20-something flights for Encore, 22 flights for Encore, it never worked out to very many hours because it was regional flying. So it's kind of nice to be involved in long-haul flying and definitely building up some more hours here. As you can see, though, the Dash 8 is still the predominant aircraft type, although the 330 added a lot of hours in 2 flights, and the 37's quickly catching up. So it'll be fun to watch how these numbers evolve as we go. Quick look at our job market just to sort of summarize what we're doing here, but I think this is the same selection I had available on my last career. I think these ones expire available until June 20th, so they'll expire all tomorrow. So these I think look like more or less the same ones I've seen last time: Encore, Sky Regional, etc. So again, not too interested in changing careers. I like what I'm doing so far. One thing that will be nice though is generating a new schedule, because that's always really kind of fun. There's something nice about looking forward to a new schedule, something different, some places maybe you've been before that you're happy to show off, some places that you haven't been before. So not only having new airplanes, but especially having new airports to visit, that's I think part of the fun of this, and just putting them together in a somewhat realistic order. So you can see I've got this is my logbook so far, and you can see I've done a whole lot of flights. I wish it was maybe a little bit more organized. I think there could be better ways to format it, but anyways, it overall it looks pretty good. I think they could do maybe a better job of sort of highlighting the departure and arrivals, having separate columns for each. I don't know. But it's been pretty busy. Let's see, what else can I show off as well quickly, just to have a quick look, as well as my past flights map. That's another neat one to look at here. Here's all the flights that I've done as my pilot's life career. As you can see, I did a bunch of short haul flights, relatively speaking, from Toronto for Encore, and also out of Calgary for Encore. And then I did my long haul flights here for Transat, the Vancouver Punta Cana triangle, Schiphol, and then sorry, that was Puerto Vallarta over there. Punta Cana's over here, and then last but not least, this Orlando turn we're finishing off right now. So, yeah, I've enjoyed this a lot. It's been a neat, interesting challenge, and I'm looking forward to generating a new schedule. And I think that's what I'm going to do is when I do come around to generating this new schedule, I am actually going to do. I'm not going to do a stream, but I will record it and I will post what it looks like to generate a schedule here in a pilot's life. For those of you that haven't seen it, it's really kind of interesting, and I mean, it happens very quickly, but you have the chance to regenerate the schedule multiple times to get something you like before you can hit accept. Once you hit accept on it, then that's it. You're stuck with that schedule, period. But you can regenerate the schedule multiple times before you accept something that you like. So I found that was actually kind of a bit interesting last time, was trying to find one that had a nice balance of some shorter flights, some longer flights, suitable for different aircraft types, and mostly trying to visit places that I've been before, but add a few places maybe that I haven't. So I found that was a bit of an interesting challenge, so I'm going to definitely record that. I don't think I'm going to live stream it because it's going to be relatively short, but I might do a 10 or 15 minute video of just me going through some different possibilities here and show you guys how the generate schedule function works on a pilot's life here. So that's where we're at anyways. So today we're doing our last flight of this career. We've got our aircraft selected already, this trusty 737 we're going to bring home from from Orlando. I saw Miami here and I read it, but it's from Orlando. We're doing KMCO Orlando back up to Toronto, our home base. So here we are. You can see the Taxi2Gate Orlando scenery here. You can see the animation. There's the monorail that links the main terminal building to the various concourses. There's 2 trains that lead to each of the 4 concourses, so there's 8 trains in total. Yeah, as I've said before, like, I think that Taxi2Gate did a pretty good job on this scenery. It overall looks really quite good. There are a few minor glitches, the biggest thing being the taxiway signs when prepared, updated to version, I think it started in version 4 where they started to have these issues. They changed the scenery files a little bit, not much, but they modified the airports a little bit. So the exclusion that Taxi2Gate had defined for their airport was not working fully in the new version. So it's a bit of a shame. I do like this, though. I think it captures the spirit of the Orlando airport very well with the trains, with lots of open green space, water, and trees within the airport limits, kind of separating all the different areas of the airports very nicely. And I think they've done an excellent job of capturing that. Unfortunately, I got a little signpost right here where this Chaseplane view is, but I think they did a nice job capturing that. So. But yeah, so we're going to hop in and we're going to get this flight ready. The other thing, of course, I will say I did is that I did switch gates. Normally I try to pick up where I left off, but I switched gates. For those of you that watched the end of the last stream, at gate 78 over here at the end of this pier, what I found was that the bridge from gate 70, I think it's 76, the wrong gate would come over, pass through the airplane, and try and dock to the airplane because they were so close together. So in this case, I moved to a different gate, slightly different, gate 72, which just gives me a little bit more realistic docking of the jet bridge here. So we're just about ready to start getting this airplane set up. So let's go ahead and do a couple of things. Let's request refueling anyways, because we are going to need, we'll just use Alliance Ground. We are going to need some fuel to get back to Toronto, that's for sure. Hop in the flight deck, and of course we're going to fly this with the FS2 crew. I said I was going to do one of these flights without the FS2 crew. It's not going to be this one. I need to practice a little bit because there's a lot going on in this airplane. So before I get to that, though, I'm just going to power on this airplane really quickly so when the field truck arrives as well, everything is set up and ready to go. So first thing we do is throw the battery switch on. Make sure that it does turn on. The battery's obviously discharging at 38 amps. However, we already have ground power available. Sorry, but my track IR feels a little bit wonky there. So we can turn the ground power on, turn on the emergency lights, windshield heat. Wasn't supposed to do the overheat test, that was the wrong switch. Turn on the packs. Make sure that the position lights are on, and we can check out the. If I can crane my head up enough, we can test the flight recorder by trying to throw that switch under there. And the overspeed detectors, the stall warning, from what I've read, will not test properly for about 4 minutes after the aircraft powers up. While we're up here as well, we can get these IRSs to start aligning, put them into nav mode, and there we go. Now the screens will come on, everything will start happening in this airplane. She'll start coming to life, and we can start calling upon our FS2 crew to come and help us out here. First of all, let's just get this departure section set up here because there's all sorts of stuff going on. Gate, as DX, we're going to say yes. Takeoff thrust, they got long runways here. We're going to try and do a derated and temperature compensated or reduced assumed temperature takeoff. We'll do flap 15 just because with a lower power we'll probably need it. ETOPS definitely not. Bleeds on. Anti-ice is not required today. Takeoff safety, so we'll say same crew. We don't need to necessarily do everything. We're going to kind of pretend like we actually continued on from our previous flight down to Orlando the last day. Forced return, I'm going to say underweight for now. We don't have a whole big weight of people today. Departure procedure is a SID. Noise abatement not required. No concerns today. There we go. And I guess we just need to keep this open and start our pre-flight events.
Okay, let's get this show on the road.
Thank you. Alright, and he is here ready to get this going, and once again, something about my control column for some reason flips the gear up now as soon as I start moving it around. Just when it's first initialized, I don't know why. It's just a little strange. Anywho. Yeah. Just realized here that my chat window is not working properly, so I'm just going to give me 1 second. I just want to make sure it's up because I want, if you guys are talking to me, I want to be able to. Oh, somebody's already messaging me, and now I'm getting a ad. Now that I'm trying to reconnect to my channel here, I'm getting an ad instead on Twitch. Thanks, Twitch. And Jacksonville Center is online, which means we got a clearance. Hey, we got a departure clearance. Nice. All right, good stuff. Well, we're not even close to that yet, so let's worry about one thing at a time. Let's get this airplane fired up. So we've got the airplane powered up, and we can basically start hopping into the FMS and start setting this up here. So as always, I am using my AviaWorks. I'm going to put my AviaWorks in this corner, which means I'm going to put the FMS in this corner. Hold on one moment while I just unlock my remote FMC here. There it is. Alright. And we are going to go into FMC mode. Dual FMC ops restored. Good. Yesterday was new chart day, and we do have the new database, new nav database in there, so that's good. Page 2 to quickly grab... Oops, wrong button. There we go. GPS location. It doesn't matter which GPS because they should agree with each other reasonably well. And there we go. We've got our position initialized. Now we can start typing in our route here. So today, KMCO, formerly McCoy Air Force Base, now the Orlando International Airport, down to, or up to, I guess the case may be, Toronto. Flight number is Transat. It's one from the one before. 3257, I want to say, is the flight number. 3257 is correct. 3257. And we can start off with a departure out of Orlando. So let's see if the PDC's got anything in here. McCoy 2, plan 17 right. So there you go, 17 right, McCoy 2. There's no transition need to be specified. There's only one. It ends at Guano. And then, let's see here. I'm going to just compare. I've got my flight plan here, and it looks like if I compare my flight plan to my clearance here, just a second. It looks like they're the same here. So here's the clearance I got from Jacksonville Center, and here is the filed routing right here. And if you look right here, McCoy 2, Guano, Femon, Q87, VAP, Q69, Rix, Oxman, and the Ling 2, that all matches. So that's what we're going to go with. And the fuel truck is here. So let's go ahead and get that fueled up. FS actions, fuel, yes, thank you. 1 second. Back to the flight plan. How much fuel do we need? Page 1. 10,798 kilos, 10.8. We'll round it up to 11,000 kilos. There we go. That'll take them a little while to do that, but that's okay. We got time. Okay, back to putting in the flight plan. Again. So after Guano, we go direct to Femon. This one's a pretty good one. This one's almost a straight shot right up to Toronto. I'll show you the overview a little bit later, but it's very straight line. There's not too many turns in this one. Alright, Q87, VAP, Q69 is correct to Rix. Also not a very long flight plan either. Fairly straight and straightforward here. And then into Oxman, which is the initial fix on the arrival here. So we can just go depart, arrive. Now this is estimating 15 left. I find that highly unlikely. So let's just use my SimToolkit Pro to my advantage here. And let's do a quick little TAF investigation here. Toronto. Winds are variable at 3, becoming 160 at 10. So that would tend to favor 2-4 right. So let's go with 2-4 right for arrival, pick my transition, and then we'll do the Ling 2 via the Oxman transition. That's all there. Activate and execute, and then we can start our perf init. Pretty straightforward. ZFW should initially, at least, be grabbed from your flight plan again, if I can bring that back to the fore. Page 3 has got a predicted weight and balance here, so our predicted ZFW is 58,000 kilos today. Our reserves, most flight plans usually provide this number as one number. It's annoying that I constantly have to add this up, but our reserves, our alternate and our final reserve fuel added together is basically 2,000 and 1,100, so that's going to be 3,100, so 3.1 tons. Our cost index today is cost index 13. We can probably ramp that up a little bit if we like. We got a little bit of extra fuel today. Our cruising altitude of 350. And we're not going to execute it yet because we're just going to put in the wind. The average wind is going to be 229 at 23. It'll give us a reasonable prediction, and we can always downlink the winds later and get a more precise prediction, performance prediction. But we can execute that now. Our N1 limit, as I said, we're going to try and do a derate today. We're going to do a takeoff one. We're going to try and do a climb one. And the outside temperature right now is 29. So let's see if we can derate to 35 and be able to take off on this runway. And let's say we'll do a flap 15 takeoff, and we do get speed, so therefore we can do it.
Safety checks are all done. Are we good to start boarding?
And the center of gravity, I'm going to just autofill here, 22.1. You would automatically fill it from your, you would automatically fill it from your weight and balance page. I'm just going to do it the easy way here, so I don't have to forget it later. But there's usually an estimated CFG as well, or you might use a standard. Some companies will just have a standard. You always put in a set one until you get the actual final numbers. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay.
Alright, and I am requesting a GSX to commence boarding at the same time as FS2 crew. Alright, back to muting that so it doesn't listen to things I'm saying, and that's basically it. So our FMS is set up there by the looks of it. And we can verify our takeoff performance as well using the performance page of our EFB.
Okay, I'm back from the walk around. Everything looks good.
Thank you. He's going to be doing stuff for a while anyway, so let's go ahead and do this because I do like using this. It's kind of, it's a useful tool. It's a little bit more realistic than just, you know, some companies I think favor using the FMSs, and some like to have the performance data calculated remotely. I'm going to say a dry runway. We're going to say winds. We need to show keyboard. 0 at 0. Why do I always use calm winds? It's kind of a worst case scenario, if you will. Anything, if there's any kind of a headwind on the runway, we're just going to have better performance than what's predicted. So that's kind of why. So I think it was 29, which is about 90, something like that. Who really knows? Okay, let's go 86. Close enough. And the altimeter setting here is I thought oh, you know what, no, I didn't get it. I thought I did. Stand by. There you go, 3009. Oh, there is an ATIS for KMCO, so let's request that. But we can do 30.09. And thrust rating, takeoff 1. Let's say we do... Can I input that? No, I can't change that. We're going to do a flap 15 takeoff. AC config is AC on. The air conditioning's on. The bleeds are on, but the anti-ice is going to be off. Calculate. And I didn't put in the takeoff weight, which in pounds is estimating at, so we're estimating takeoff weight of 69. So that's basically 70 times 2.2, that's 140, 154, but minus about, so we'll call that 152,000 pounds. 152,000, and if we put in a CFG of 22%, then we hit the calculate button. Max allowable weight of 148,396. It does not like this. The FMS does, but the performance page does not like this. Okay. Well, anyways, we'll come back to it later. I'm just going to set up a few other things while we're doing this. I've already forgotten my altimeter setting that I put in there, but it was 3009. So we need to make sure we get this set up here. Set up this MCP. And actually, before I set up the MCP, I should be testing the oxygen. There we go. 3009. 3009 on the standby. And we'll get the flight director on. I'm going to check the departure in a second to see if we should have, so 145 is our V2. We're just going to check and see if we should be departing LNAV shortly, so just give me a little bit here. I'm going to get some stuff almost set up here. I'm going to set 170 initially. I'm going to adjust that. This should be 49 probably. And there. I think that's about it. I should have the parking brake on. I'm just going to do a quick control check. Just to make make sure my control quadrant is working properly. We are going to get Jacksonville Center up in a second here and put in our transponder code. So let's get that back again here. Jack Center. Excuse me, Jack Center's on 2477. Okay, so the radio's ready. We've got COM1 turned on. There we go. And clearance. Alright, so pre-departure clearance. Transat 3257, departing KMCO. Equipment 738, transponder 1002. So let's make sure we got that set there. 1002. File flight level 350, route McCoy 2, we verified that route already. Maintain 5,000, so we got the clearance, so we can now set 5,000. It won't let me do it because it's not the active window. I'll do it in a second. 2477, departure frequency. Plan 17 right, do not reply to the message, push your discretion, contact appropriate ground control with the current native right taxi. So we'll set 5,000 here, and we'll just start pulling up some charts here on the PFD. The EFB. I just call it PFD. I do know what these things are called. Sometimes I just speak them so quickly I'm not even really kind of thinking. Alright, use airports from FMS. Good, complete. KMCO. Let's edit this clip. Alright, so we're on the, let's see here, departures, McCoy 2, check, and airport, and we can put the airside gates. I probably don't really need them because I know kind of where I am here. Oops. Alright, so first of all, airport info. I just want to see what the runway heading is on 17 right. It is 185. There's 185 set on the heading. And let's have a quick little review of the SID. For altitude, is it an LNAV SID? I think it's just a vector SID. Climb on heading is assigned at top altitude 5,000. So it's just a vector SID. And the only two fixes are Orlando and Guano, which we should have in there. Orlando, we don't even have that. We just have inbound 359 to Guano is what we have to intercept. So that's all we need. So there we go. I'm just going to make sure the TCAS is turned on, and I think that's about it. I think I'm almost ready to go with 12 minutes still to go on the clock. So far, so good. And so we're just about ready to do a departure briefing as soon as the FO is ready. I think he's just about ready, so let's check him out here. Pre-flight checklist.
Pre-flight checklist. Oxygen.
Tested 100%.
Tested 100%. Navigation transfer and display switches. Normal, auto. Window heat, on. Pressurization mode selector, auto. Flight instruments.
Heading 127, altimeter 3009er.
Heading 127, altimeter 3009. Parking brake.
Set.
Engine start levers.
Cutoff.
Pre-flight checklist complete.
Are you ready for the departure briefing?
Go for it.
Alright, so we're here at gate 72 here in Orlando. Departure off 17 right, so because it's a continuing flight I don't need to do the whole emergency briefing. Basically we're just going to talk about the engine failure. It's just going to be straight ahead up to 3,000 feet. The taxi out today, we are at gate 74, which is just right around here on this west side of this pier. So we're probably going to come out Hotel 3, Golfer Hotel to Hotel 1 for 17 right. Very short taxi out, very quick short taxi out today. Departure is, as I said, the McCoy 2 departure, 20-3 Bravo, and effective on the 25th of January of 2019. DMUs and radars require turbojets only. That's us. Airport elevation is 96 feet. We've got the departure frequency already set. And 17 and 18s, it's just climb on heading as assigned, and top altitude is 5,000, and that was in the clearance as well. 5,000 feet is set there, heading 185. We're just going to depart in heading mode, and we'll depart and we'll engage heading mode, and we're just going to intercept radial 355 inbound to Guano. Vectors to Orlando 355 radial to Guano, maintain 5,000, expect further clearance within 10 minutes after departure. Let's see here. Terrain's not much of an issue around Orlando. 3,000 feet will clear everything around here. The weather is looks like a beautiful day out here. There's a little bit of convective activity en route forming, so we'll see what happens as we get close to our arrival point. And operational, quick check on the NOTAMs to see if there's anything pertinent to our departure today. I love that this PDF comes with the bookmarks pre-generated, which is just fantastic. Bravo 1, Bravo Echo, these are not taxiways that are affecting us today. Hotel 1, center line marking is not standard. That's fine. None of this other stuff really seems to be affecting us. Pappy's unserviceable on most runways, but otherwise looks good. Approach procedures don't really affect us. And there doesn't seem to be anything for the SID, so it looks like NOTAM-wise we are good to go. I'm just going to remove this FMS from the corner down here, guys. And I think that's about it. So, yeah, that's all I've really got. Any questions?
Delta 223, clear visual approach, runway 8.
Start the APU, please.
Starting APU.
Alright, well, we're fully boarded. Let's get out of here a couple minutes early if we can. Just trying to think if there's anything else I'm missing here, but I think I've got everything. So we'll go ahead and knock a couple minutes off our departure here. Oh, they already removed the bridge. I didn't even notice. I guess they're really ready to go here. One thing I do need to do is update my ZFW. They should bring me the weight balance any second now. Might have to wait until she's done her PA. I think that's about it. I did not test the lights, actually. It was one thing I missed there, so I'm just going to do a quick test of the lights. In the sim, I don't know if they actually fail any of the lights in the sim. I think actually BMDG will fail just a light bulb, and it's, you know, light bulbs, it's a silly thing to think you have an emergency. Ask the guys that unfortunately had that incident in the swamp in Florida because they were so obsessed with checking to see if it was a burnt out bulb, if they really had problems with the no, we're not at the same gate. We are at gate 74 here, I believe. Or is this 72? 72. Oh, there's a load sheet. Thank you. We were at gate 78 last time, so as you can see, we only have one bridge here. No need to worry, because there's no bridges over here that could have docked for the wrong side of the airplane. Alright, so he gave us a load sheet, so let's really quickly just make sure this is all correct here. Just going to check the payload. The ZFW here is 56.4 in actuality. 56.4, which I think is a little bit less than was originally predicted here, which is probably why we were having issues getting performance data. 56.4, execute. And then we have to verify our takeoff speeds because the speeds decreased slightly because our weight decreased slightly. So our V2 is now 143, so don't forget to adjust that on there. I haven't got up the go-around bars yet. There. So now we got toga, and that's it. We're not going to arm heading mode. We are going to arm the auto thrust, but we're not going to arm heading mode until we hit 400 feet. And I think that's about it. What happened to my FS2 crew? There it is. Just lock it in there for now so I don't lose it. I think that's it.
Hi, the cabin is ready to go.
Thank you. It'll be a short taxi.
Thanks. Let me know if you need anything.
Alright. I do need to make sure the service interphone is on, and I need to call my ground crew. Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead.
Please disconnect external power.
Roger. Disconnecting the GPU.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead.
Are we clear to pressurize hydraulics? Are we clear to pressurize hydraulics? Can we pressurize the hydraulics?
Roger. You're clear to pressurize the hydraulics.
Thank you. Before start procedures.
Check.
Just going to recheck my pilot's life really quickly here that I am on the current flight page. I am.
Captain, the GPU is disconnected.
Thank you. Before start checklist.
Before start checklist. Flight deck door closed and locked. MCP.
Speed 143. Heading 185. Altitude 5,000.
Takeoff speeds.
V1-137, VR-138, V2-143.
CDU pre-flight.
Complete.
Rudder and aileron trim.
Gonna set my elevator trim. Free N0.
Taxi and takeoff briefing.
Complete.
Anti-collision light on. Before start checklist complete.
Thank you. Alright, so now we're gonna have some fun again. Like I did last time. That's not my tug. We are going to... Okay, sorry. Momentary interruption there. As I said, so we're going to have a little bit of fun today. We are going to do a manual pushback again, and I'm going to see if I can get this to work properly today. So,
November 430 Bravo, I missed that cross point.
I have to switch to push style manual and select my tug type. Self-drive, that's what it is. Tug type TPX 200. I'm just going to freeze my FS2 crew. And it is an it's an aircraft view, TPX 200 tug. There it is. That's what it's supposed to look like. So now you get the tug driver's view of what it's like to push back the airplane. So we're just going to release the brake, and that's it. And FS2 crew is going to complain because they want me to have the brake set, but frankly I don't care right now. So are we cleared to push? Cleared to push. Thank you. And here we go. The tug driver's view. Now, this is not linked to Track IR. I can't use my Track IR, unfortunately, with it. I really wish I could. That would be awesome if I could use my Track IR with it. But I can't. So, we've just got to use the hat switch, unfortunately. It's a little bit sluggish. It's not the most responsive in the world, especially when you're used to Track IR. But, nevertheless, it's kind of fun. So, it's pretty straightforward. The only way out is over here to the right, so I just got to get this airplane going somewhere back here, away from the building, and then I got to give him a bit of a right turn. Unfortunately, he might hit some ground vehicles because that's just the way scenery is, and that's just what happens. So normally, of course, you'd be starting in the push, but because I'm just having fun focusing on pushing with the tug,
52 miles east of Grand Strand.
It shouldn't be too close to the gate. There's no other airplanes to worry about parked at the next gate because there is no next gate. This is a really terrible job. The trouble is I really have no sense of where the line is, so... And there goes people driving through my airplane. I knew that was going to happen sooner or later. Alright, so...
Delta 350,
I think the line is more over there. So I think what we're going to do... Nope, that's the wrong way. That's the wrong way. There we go. I think what we're going to do is we're going to pull it this way here a little bit. Pull it away from this gate. And I'm trying to regulate the speed. You just regulate the speed by how far you pull your yoke. So it's just your yoke that does this. It's just the yoke, you know, pull it to make him... It's not very smooth either, is it? But you just pull the yoke, and how much you pull the yoke determines how fast you're going, so it's a little bit awkward. You know, it doesn't really drive like a real tug would drive, in a way, but nevertheless, it's kind of just a fun, it's a neat gimmick. It's something I thought that like someone should do. Like, when I started using GSX, I said, you know, manual pulls would be kind of interesting, because it is a bit of a challenge to drive to pull an airplane tug around, and this is actually not too bad, because this is the tow barless tractors. What's a real challenge is trying to tow an airplane with a tow bar, because then the tow bar is what controls how the wheel turns, not the tug itself. And it can be, the physics there are it's not difficult, but it's probably more than most flight simmers would be willing to deal with. So there you go, that's my pushback. Let's see how it looks. Okay, not the best. I got him almost on the line to start. It's going to be a quick turn, I think, out there. But not too bad for my second attempt to push this airplane back, so there you go. It's kind of fun. Yeah, but there you go. And then when you're done, all you do is you just, of course, set the parking brake. I heard it set there, and then you can just simply set this to no tug. Push dial to off, and that'll get rid of your tug. Tug's gone. Now we can start engines. Stop doing that. I keep clicking the wrong spot on the screen there. Start sequence will be 1 and 2.
Check.
Start engine 1.
Starting 1.
We now request your full attention as the flight attendants demonstrate the safety features of this aircraft.
Okay, so he gets the packs off, turns it to start, and we should have...
Starting 1.
Thank you. There's our N2 rotation.
We suggest that you keep your seatbelt fastened throughout the flight as we may experience turbulence. There are several emergency exits on this aircraft.
Go for 25%. There it is. And the fuel valves are no longer closed. Fuel flow indicated. EGT's rising.
Each door is equipped with an inflatable slide, which may also be attached and used as a life raft. Oxygen and air pressures are always
There we go.
being monitored in the event.
It's looking good. EGT's rising. N2's rising. Oil pressure's rising. Oil temperature is, well, it's right where it was.
Place it firmly over your nose and mouth and secure the elastic band behind your head and breathe normally. Although the bag does not inflate, oxygen is flowing to the mask. If you're a traveling
Starter
specialist
cutout.
or someone
Checked.
who requires assistance, secure your mask on first and then assist that other person.
Just want to see the engine stabilize. Once you see the EGT basically starting to roll back downwards, that indicates that the engine is stable. You can see N1 and N2 are not changing, it's just the EGT decreases. Start engine 2.
Starting 2.
Your feet are flat on the floor. A life vest is located in a pouch under your seat or between the armrests. When instructed to do so, open
He's
the
supposed to tell me the
plastic
start valve
pouch
is open.
Slip it over your head.
We got N1 rotation, N2 rotation.
To the front. To inflate the vest, pull firmly on the red cord only when leaving the aircraft. If you need to refill the vest, blow into the mouthpiece. Use the whistle and light to attract attention.
25%.
Also, your seat bottom cushion can be used as a flotation device.
Fuel valves open.
Fuel
Fuel flow. EGT rise. N2 rise. N1 rise. Oil pressure's rising.
You will find this and all other safety information in the card located in the seat pocket in front of you. We strongly suggest you read it before takeoff. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask one of our crew members. We wish you all an enjoyable flight.
That's starter
Starter
cutout.
cutout.
There he goes. He said that one.
Starting 2. Starter cutout.
Okay, so I don't need to dismiss the FS2 crew. He's going to do his pre-taxi procedures. And I hear something beeping upstairs that I've got to just check on. Give me not even 2 minutes. Alright guys, sorry about that. Just had to take care of one thing. Life never stops. Okay, yes, he finished most of his flow there. Flaps 15.
Flaps 15.
Flight control check.
Ready.
Full up. Full down. Centered.
Check.
Full left. Full right. Centered.
Check.
Rudder left. Rudder right. Centered.
Check.
Flight control check complete. Before taxi checklist.
Before taxi checklist. Generators. On. Probe heat. On. Anti-ice. Off. Isolation valve. Auto. Engine start switches. Continuous. Recall.
I have overwing doors open. Huh. I know you would normally do this, but I'm going to try cycling these.
Southwest 3412, Jacksonville Center, squawk 1023.
Looks like we might have a little failure going on there. Hold on while I pull out my checklist. My abnormal checklist, because those should not be on. So let's see what I can find. There's my 737 checklist.
3412 radar contact 35 miles north of Grand Strand.
Let's see here. Unenunciated. Let's see here. Just trying to see if I can find, because the overwing doors are still showing open when they shouldn't. Overwing door. Aha. Alright, so let's see if we can resolve this. We might have to call a mechanic. So left overwing, right overwing. One or more overwing doors are not closed and secured. Choose one. Pressurization is normal. Continue normal operation. Pressurization is not normal. Plan to land at the nearest suitable airport. Okay, so at this point, of course, we haven't obviously taken off, so we have no pressurization abnormalities. So I'm going to mute you. So at this point, of course, we would have to go back to the gate. So I should have checked that before we left. I'm surprised nobody pointed that out to me that we had that yellow light on there, but we'd have to go back to the gate, call maintenance, and have them deal with it. So, for the sake of this stream, we're not going to terminate it now. We're going to call maintenance the PMTG way here. So, let's just see what we got here. Aircraft, failures, all systems. There's no active failures.
Contact 24 miles west of Melbourne.
Could it be the lights are stuck?
Master caution, hydraulics. Master caution, hydraulics. Master caution, hydraulics.
The windows do not appear open. Neither window actually appears open. If I can get a decent view. Neither window is open. We may just have to go with that. Normally I would call maintenance and say, let's deal with it. The fact is that, of course, that is then a long ordeal. The doors are showing closed. That's the other thing, too. Like, if I do this, if I go back to FS Actions and I actually open the doors, that's what they look like when they're actually open. So the other thing, of course, maintenance could come and do is come and inspect them and say, yes, the doors are closed, it's a sensor issue, or it's a wiring issue, it's a light bulb issue, and they may even defer the system. You may fly home with those indicator lights on, knowing that someone has physically checked the doors and confirmed that they're closed. So I think that's what we're going to go with in this case. Maintenance is going to come out, they're going to defer the doors. As long as the pressurization system acts normally, we're going to assume that this is a sensor and or a light issue. But it's weird because it should show up as a failure in the PMDG system if that's what it is. So it's probably actually not even a failure. Probably what it is it's some sort of a glitch. Something did not start properly. Because it should show up here. All these doors, you can't even fail those doors. So this is some kind of a glitch that is just the way the aircraft's loaded. So we're going to just move on from that. Before taxi checklist.
430 Bravo, the crossing restriction is on you, so you can descend at your discretion.
Checked.
Oh, yeah, here, bro.
Let's start again.
Okay.
Before taxi checklist.
Before taxi checklist, generators on. Probe heat on. Anti-ice off. Isolation valve auto. Engine start switches continuous. Recall
Checked.
checked. Auto brake, RTO, engine start levers,
Idle detent.
flight controls.
Checked.
Ground equipment
Clear.
clear. Before taxi checklist complete.
Jacksonville Center, Transat 3257 is stand 72 at Orlando, ready for taxi.
Transat 325717 right taxi via Golf Hotel 1.
Golf Hotel 1 for 17 right, Transat 3257. Is that the right flight number? Yeah, 3257. I'm going to put it down here, using this for what it's intended because Actually, no, we'll go with, I'll do 257. There we go. And actually, one thing I didn't do, clear on the left.
Clear right.
Always, before you start moving out, you should always ask the FO if you're clear by saying that you're clear on the left. And then that indicates that you're clear on the left, and you'd also be clear on the right. Okay, so I believe this will be golf right out here. And the threshold to 17 right is just over there. Huh, that is interesting. I haven't seen that failure before, and that is not a pre-programmed failure in FFPMDG's database that I could tell, so that apparently is a glitch. Somehow it's a glitch. I haven't seen that before, though. It's not too often you can say you find glitches in PMDG aircraft. We're going to taxi fairly slowly here, only because, alright, this is Taxiway Golf, is the first one here on the left. Just because we want to make sure we have time for the cabin to get secured. Not room, but time for the cabin to get secured. And yes, the other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to check and just make sure that yes, this is cycle to the end flight button, so my flight tracking is working, pilot's life is tracking this flight. Alright. Slow, but not like snail's pace. There she is.
Flight dead. Okay, thanks. Captain, the cabin is secure.
Checked. Because it's not very far to taxi, that's for sure. Coming out of here, and then yeah, just about right up here, so. Before takeoff checklist.
Before takeoff checklist. Flaps.
Flaps 15, green light.
Stabilizer trim.
4.6 units.
Before takeoff checklist complete.
Checked. I hear a few other airplanes. It's not as busy when we arrived at this airport a week or two ago. Wow, it was busy then. Alright, is this Hotel 1 or is this Hotel 2? This is Hotel 2.
400 radar contact.
Hotel 1's the next.
10 miles south of Wilmington.
It's nice when you can actually use the signs.
Challenger 376 Sierra, leaving my airspace to the north, Washington offline, Mining Unicon 122.8. Costa 7603, leaving my airspace to the south, Miami Center offline, Mining Unicon 122.8.
Yeah, nice when you get some ATC. I wasn't really expecting ATC today, so it's a nice surprise.
Confirm for, that was for Lexa 76.
Alright, this is Hotel 1.
The Costa 7603, that is correct.
Okay, frequency change for good day.
American 1020, leaving my airspace to the south, Miami offline.
Right, everyone's just leaving his airspace.
Roger, 122, definitely.
Jacksonville Center, Transat 3257, shorts 17 right.
Transat 3257, departure flight heading 140, wind 1604, 17 right, cliff takeoff.
On departure heading 140, 17 right, clear for takeoff, Transat 3257. Heading 140 set. Clear on the left.
Clear right.
Runway entry procedures.
Check. Cabin crew, take your seats. Ready to go.
Checked. Ready? Takeoff.
Check.
Always hit that brake button by mistake. Stupid. I should really change it to a different button. Takeoff.
Thrust set.
Check. N1. Toga.
80 knots.
Checked.
Rotate. Positive rate.
Gear up.
Feet.
Select, heading select.
Heading select.
Lowest call sign, ready to taxi.
Select command Alpha.
Command A.
Command.
Taxi
MCP
737,
speed.
runway 8, taxi via Julia Alpha.
Jacksonville Center, Transat 3257, airborne heading 140, 2,400, climbing 5,000.
Transat
Flaps 5.
3257, radar contact, climb, maintain flight level 350.
Climb flight level 350, Transat 3257.
Check.
Flaps 1.
223, runway 8, taxi via Julia Alpha.
Flight level 350 set.
Checked.
Transat 3257, turn left heading 050.
Left turn heading 050, Transat 3257. Heading 050.
Checked.
Flaps up.
Flaps up.
We'll keep the speed to 220 until we get turn close to on course. The faster you're going, the harder it is to turn. The more space you use up to make the turn. So better to keep a lower speed and start climbing. Farewell, Orlando. Pity we didn't depart the 18s, because then you could have probably gotten a decent view of Disney World. Because Disney World is over on the west side of the airport, so... Not that I think the default FSX model has much to say about Disney World. I don't think they're allowed to fly over Disney World anyways. Disney is such a powerful company, I'm sure if they, with the right arguments, they'll say, nope, we don't want any airplanes flying over our theme parks, ever. Don't want to distract people from the beautiful theme parks. And people would capitulate to them in Central Florida. They would absolutely capitulate to whatever Disney wants, because they're such a huge employer and a huge economic engine in the area. So much revenue, so much money is brought into this area for people visiting Disney. That Disney people get what they want.
Direct Guano, resume navigation.
Alright, direct Guano, resume flight plan, route Transat 3257. Alright, direct to Guano, so we go legs, Guano. Confirm execute.
Confirm.
LNAV.
Check.
VNAV speed.
Check.
After takeoff checklist.
After takeoff checklist. Engine bleeds. On. Packs. Auto. Landing gear. Up and off. Flaps. Up. No lights. After takeoff checklist complete.
Direct 208, runway 8, taxi via Julia Alpha.
And there we go. So there's the Orlando airport. That's kind of downtown Orlando on the right. And Disney World is way off down here. Kind of
release the cabin crew.
That area, I think.
10,000.
Go for it.
Okay.
Excuse me. Alright, so now we're LNAVing direct to
Okay to release the cabin?
Guano. Go for it.
Okay.
That's it, we don't need to talk to the FO pretty much again, except for the transition altitude for the next little while. We're going to get the weather radar on, because there is some convective activity, as you can see out here, and as we head up the US with the warm weather, especially as we get further north. Ironically, it's, I think, warmer in Toronto than it is in Orlando today, or it's about the same temperature anyways. Toronto's having a lot of eastern Canada and the northeastern US is having a heat wave, while the southeastern US is having unseasonably cool temperatures for this time of year. There you go, got a few pops on the radar already there. One thing I do have to say I do like about the new version of ActiveSky is that not all the precipitation is the same size, and that's fantastic. For those of you that have used the previous versions of ActiveSky, you know that all the convective weather cells, why is that popping up. I'm not happy with you right now when you pop up midstream, that's for sure. As I was saying, for those of you that have used the previous version of Active Sky, although it does generally a good job of translating real-world weather into, you know, real-world, realistic-looking weather in the sim, one thing it never did very well was its portrayal of groups of convective weather, because it tended to be like it was just a grid of circles of thunderstorms that are all the same size. And I think that was just a limitation of the way the information was being processed and handled, but it was not terribly realistic. In the real world, of course, storms come in an infinite variety of shapes and sizes. They're generally round, but they're not always round. Sometimes a couple of them might merge together to make some kind of a weird shape that's made up of multiple circles. They'll certainly be all different.
37, squawk mode, Charlie, squawk normal. Wind calm, runway 8, clip takeoff.
So they'll have, I lost my train of thought there when he started talking. They'll have like various shapes. They won't all be perfectly round. In fact, very rarely will you find cells that are perfectly round. They're generally, you know, somewhat round, but maybe with slightly elongated shapes, multiple cells merged together. So it's nice to see different shapes and sizes now in the weather radar, and that's becoming much more realistic. That was probably the biggest failing of the previous version of Active Sky. Their convective weather, it looked good outside the flight deck, but when you saw it on the weather radar and you saw the pattern, the grid pattern of how it was just a bunch of circles of all the same size lined up together to form this convective weather region, that was very difficult to kind of reconcile against real life, and that was unfortunate, because otherwise the Active Sky was a great piece of software. So I think they fixed probably one of the biggest shortcomings of Active Sky, and that's great to see.
1026.
Alright, we were through 10,000 a while ago. He did his checks, I didn't do mine. So lights off, pressurization, we should check just to make sure it is climbing at a reasonable rate, 500 feet per minute. It looks like the cabin's holding a perfectly good differential. Oh, look! The lights went out. Isn't that interesting?
American 1142, radar contact 20 miles south of Ozina. Good afternoon.
Set standard.
Standard set.
Delta 223, runway 8, line up and wait.
Set standard.
Runway 8.
Standard set.
Delta 223.
Anywho, so away we go. One thing I do want to give you guys a little preview of when I get a chance, just a little bit later once we get leveled off, is the new Chaseplane, because there's been some nice improvements in the Chaseplane that I really like. So, anywho, we will show that off in a little bit. We're not going to show it off just yet. We're going to get ourselves leveled off and cruise first here. But yeah, there is some stuff we're going to have to worry about on our way today. So there isn't much ATC online, at least not yet. It is a Friday today, which is kind of nice, because Friday generally they will see quite a bit more ATC than other days of the week. Certainly as a weekday, a lot of people get off school or work or whatever they're doing, and they get right into simming for the weekend. So, you know, you will see probably more ATC on Fridays than any other day of the work week per se. I don't think there's a whole lot of ATC online today, though. When I looked, there was nothing. Jacksonville even was not online when I started, so that's a pleasant surprise. I guess I was in Chicago last, but there's Jacksonville Center. They'll get us a good portion of the way back to Toronto, and then there's some arrival in Toronto now. Now that they're online right now, probably means they won't be online by the time we get there, but hopefully somebody will be. That'd be great to have arrival as well. Not a particularly long flight, though. Let's do a little bottom line check here. Toronto 1947 Zulu, so that's just over 2 hours from now. Just a little bit longer than 2 hours.
Maintain 8,000. 8,000, 30.
So there we go.
What was the last aircraft on checking in?
Let's see if my SimToolkit Pro will show me here, because I'm pretty sure I can overlay rainfall. There we go. Yep. There we go. And that's wow.
43, Jacksonville Center, ident.
Looks like we got out of Orlando at the right time there. Just missed all that junk down there. Wow.
43, radar contact 28 miles east.
Pretty typical for Florida. But yeah, as you can see, there are quite a few lines of convective activity. So we're going to be up at 340. Hopefully we should be up above a lot of it, and then we may have to pick our way through some lines here and there. Might even be some convective activity by the time we get down in Toronto. Hopefully not, but we'll see what happens. the weather radar cranked up. So, you know, we'll keep an eye out the window, we'll keep an eye on the weather radar, and we'll see what happens. Here comes Guano. Top of climb in about 50 miles, give or take.
Center American 1142.
American 1142.
Farewell, Florida. I don't know when we'll come to visit again, because we don't know what our schedule's like next month. That's going to be a fun video, I think. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to live stream it, but I will definitely record what I do to generate my next schedule here in Pilot's Life when I come to the, I don't think I can look at it now even. But I'll definitely record it just to show how it works and sort of how I pick the schedules, because I go through it. I went through a bunch of iterations before I came up with this one. I must have gone through about 20. Just looking at different factors. As I said before, there's a few key factors that I really look for in a good schedule. One is a variety of destinations, so preferably without repeats. I'd like to see creativity in the routing, so I get a little tired of the constant out and back, out and back, out and back. And that's what I liked about the one that I picked, was it started off at least with a triangle, where we didn't hit, you know, we didn't return to our home base for at least 2 different airports. We had 3 flights. I mean, it was only a triangle, but it's kind of nice when you get that, when you get a scenario, and that's why I'm kind of looking forward to flying for some of the bigger multi-hub airlines in the future, is that I'll be able to generate schedules that have a little bit more creativity, a little bit more variety, rather than just always out and back, out and back, out and back from the same hub all day long. And that's something I look for, something, you know, with a couple of different legs that maybe are not out and back, but maybe some triangles and some other different patterns that eventually get me back to home base, but maybe have a couple of places to visit along the way, a little bit more variety in the airports we visit. I also look for airports or routes where I do have a fair number of the airports in the schedule already, so you know, I don't have to obtain too many new airports within it. But then also, if it's an interesting airport, like it's not that I'm against necessarily getting a new airport. Certainly, if it's one that I've been curious about, perhaps one that comes up as Transat, and it's something that I thought about, considered even on the last schedule, but I wasn't happy with a lot of other stuff, was Saint Martin would be a fun airport to go and visit, I think. You can take the 330 down there, because you know it can do bigger airplanes, but it makes more sense probably to go out in a 37 or a 320 or something. So, but yeah, that would be a fun one. I wouldn't mind revisiting Puerto Vallarta. That was a fun airport to go visit. Maybe even a little bit domestic flying in Canada, just for some variety again. Not just all this long haul flying. So there's a lot of things that go into my choice of what my schedule is going to look like. But yeah, so the last time it was I won't say it was arduous, but it took me a while to come up with something I like. So I may record this just so you guys can see how I'm picking it and what it looks like to use the system. Alright, so we had a pretty low cost index set on this one. We're showing Toronto with 4.9. What happens if I bump up the cost index? Let's say we bring the cost index up to like 50. Probably about 5 minutes. Not that I don't love streaming, but it's a beautiful day out there, and I'm going to want to hop offline before too long, so I might just see if I can accelerate this even further. The thing about cost indexing, though, is it's a logarithmic function, so once you start to get up in the really high numbers, small changes don't make much of a difference at all. So
good afternoon.
Going to a cost index of 100 from 50 will probably make less of a difference than 13 to 50 did. No, we've sliced another 2 minutes off there.
1036, 48431.
So we haven't sliced too much time off there, but we'll see what we can do here. We're definitely going a little faster now here in the climb, doing Mach 8.0 just in the climb. That definitely also extended out our climb a little bit there as we translate more of our thrust into forward speed rather than vertical speed, but that's okay.
Delta 8431, radar contact 27 miles east of Bremen.
Let's throw stations on here just for some situational awareness. So we just passed Ormond Beach. And CRG, I believe that's right, that's Craig, which I believe is near Jacksonville, so I think Jacksonville's coming up there in a little bit. Jacksonville, yeah, because it's near Femon, and Craig is just near Femon. Yeah, so Jacksonville's going to be coming up here on the left in about another 50 miles here.
Craig 1142 back.
I wonder how well FS...
1142, was it choppy or anything?
Not FS2 crew. Active Sky simulates the weather patterns of specific regions too, because Florida's got a very, I won't say unique weather pattern, but a distinctive weather pattern anyways, in terms of the fact that it is a peninsula surrounded on both sides by some pretty warm water. It's a hot land environment that is a lot of water on both sides, you know, the Caribbean Sea on the west and the Atlantic Ocean on the east, and what you often end up with is an almost daily ritual of thunderstorms, rain showers and thunderstorms in Florida. What happens, of course, is the land, as the sun comes up, it starts heating the land and the water, but the water doesn't heat up very quickly, but the land does, so you end up with a chimney effect over Florida, especially over the center of Florida, where a lot of this heat starts rising up, and you get a lot of updrafts that generate these storms, and you get cooler air, cooler moist air that then gets sucked in off the oceans, and you tend to get up and down the middle of this peninsula in the middle of the day a line of thunderstorms, or certainly of convective clouds anyways, depending on how unstable the atmosphere is. It's a pattern that repeats on an almost daily basis in Florida, just because of the shape of the area, and the fact that you get this cooler ocean air that always is then rushing in from both sides to fill the updrafts that manifest themselves over land. So you end up with this similar pattern all the time with lines of thunderstorms over the land that then tend to move out offshore as nightfall arrives. And it's a very repetitive pattern, but the day can start off perfectly clear and have thunderstorms by mid-afternoon. Yeah, so Jacksonville is somewhere right along here. Maybe just below that cloud deck there somewhere. Not familiar with Jacksonville, not terribly familiar with Jacksonville. I've been there once in my life. I ended up having to go there when I missed my connection to Orlando. Thank you very much, Newark Airport and United Airlines. Years and years ago, I had to be in Orlando for a training course, and I missed my connection in Newark, and ended up having to drive. Arrived in Jacksonville at midnight 30, 1 a.m. Had to drive from Jacksonville. Had to rent a car and drive from Jacksonville to Orlando. Rolled in at probably about 4 in the morning, and I was supposed to be, like, you know, in a class at 8:30 in the morning. So I think I got about 3 hours on that 3 hours of sleep on that first day of the course. Fortunately, it was you know, it was a multi-day course. So it's not like I missed everything, but I was, yeah, I will always remember that one. Having to go to Jacksonville, rent a car, and drive all the way down. What a pain in the rear end that was. And of course, my luggage didn't make it either, because I ran to quickly try and make the only connection that was at least going to get me into Florida still that evening. Checked 1,000 ago. So my luggage arrived at the Orlando airport sometime in the middle of the next morning, so I didn't have anything except what I was already wearing for that first day of my course. It was not the best time in the world. Alright, almost there. 350, here we come.
Delta 286, Jacksonville.
Jacksonville 286, go ahead.
And there's
Delta 26, cross Larry.
VNAV path, FMC speed.
Cross Larry at 340 for Delta 2086.
There we go. Get our fuel flow to settle back down there. Before we do anything else, let's just uplink some winds. Actually, I can't, because I have not yet done what I need to do here. So in order to do wind uplinks with PMDG, there has to be a file in the PMDG folder that contains the winds. SimBrief fortunately will automatically download that file for you if they use their downloader, or you can download it manually. I do like their downloader. I just find that it tends to start using up a lot more processor power than it needs to when it's not still active. So PMDG flight plan, don't really care about that. It's PMDG wind uplink. Just hit download, boom, done. And then it minimizes to your tray, and I don't like that because what I find is that it tends to start using up more processor power than it should. When it's minimized to the tray, it should basically be using no processor power, but sometimes it'll sit there monitoring, pinging SimBrief every couple of minutes to see if there's a new flight plan that it can offer to download, and it ends up, you know, churning up 5 or 10% of the processor power to do that, which is a little surprising. So I shut that down as soon as it's done what I need to do. But now that it's done what I needed to do, I go ahead and go, let's see, here we go, route. Nope, not route, sorry, legs. Let me do route data. See, I was looking for route data, so I was thinking route. Winds request, just hit the button, and it should send the request out. Sounds like there's a controller on the ground in Orlando now, or an approach controller in Orlando now too. That's good, that's good. Cruise wind uplink ready. Beauty. Okay, so just out of curiosity, I'm going to put you on the prog page.
Southwest 3412.
So right now it's estimated 1938. And I'm going to load my winds. It's going to load them. Yep, that does the calculations. And then you hit execute. And we got 1939. It doesn't look like it's going to change it too much. It takes a couple of seconds, but no, it looks like 1939. So as we got the higher cost index, we lost a couple of minutes there, but I think that's about all the minutes we're going to lose. So I think that 1939 is pretty much set at this point. I don't think anything we're going to do is going to change that. So that is the time we're going to get to Toronto at, which is cool.
Delta 2086, leaving my airspace to the north, Atlanta Center.
So as I said, one thing that did crop up not too long ago, I think it just was announced just earlier this week, maybe late last week, is that there is a new version of Chaseplane. It's not super revolutionary, but it has added a couple of really nice features. So Chaseplane, it's a really good piece of software. It's been a little bit static for a little while now. There have been like little tiny tweaks and bug fixes, but there really hasn't been anything too new about it for quite some time. But just this week, my updater automatically updated to the new version, which is version 1.2, which is not a huge revolution for Chaseplane. For those of you that are familiar with Chaseplane, you'll see it looks pretty much about the same. Until you notice, of course, these nice two big new flags here, which actually highlight a couple of new features. And the biggest improvement is in the cinematics mode here in version 1.2. So now cinematics mode has been improved. It's a mode I've always liked. I think it's great. You guys have seen this as well. It's the external views that I use every time I step away to just sort of provide some nice external views of the airplane. But what they've done now is they've put the button here right on the menu bar. So people were using it a lot. They put it right here at the very top. So no matter what, what camera and page you're in, especially if you're still on the presets page, it's still right there. So you can hit cinematics, and there you go. It starts doing a nice cinematic pan past the aircraft. And you'll notice that even here are the various buttons. And you can do all sorts of neat stuff with it. Let me show you what's on the new cinematics setup page here, because it just adds a few new options. So first of all the options regarding the cinematics have been moved from the preferences page over to here. So you can tweak all sorts of stuff. You can mute the sound of the sim while you're in cinematics mode if you like. I kind of like it. I don't mind it being on there. I tend to turn it down in my stream anyways, so I don't need to fully mute it. Auto enable disabled. There is an auto enable where you, at higher altitudes, it automatically come on after a certain amount of time of inactivity in the flight deck. I just like to activate it manually. Change camera angle every 20 seconds. Normally I keep this a lot longer for my streams, but now just to show you what some of the nice stuff it's doing here, every 20 seconds it's going to move. Speed of camera motion, so you can change how fast the camera moves, so you can go and have it move really fast. The only trouble, and this is why we have to mute sim sounds, is that the engine's off, and every time you load a new view, will start from idle and sort of throttle back up again. It's not actually the sim doing it, but it's just the sound engine doing it. Manual control speeds, manual control inertia, fade in, fade out, disable in high pass conditions. But another neat thing here, you'll notice this button right here, next angle. So if you don't like, if you're kind of watching this manually and you don't like what it's doing, you can immediately go to another angle or another one. I don't even see where the airplane is. Or another one. So you can do all sorts of things. The other thing you'll also notice here is that you can select presets you want to include in your cinematics that will randomly be included. So if you like to have, so one that I do like is the previous airplane. I don't think I have one in this one, but I had an overview where you kind of sit in the jump seat. You can just see the whole flight deck, and I kind of liked that one. So you can pick any of your presets, and it might randomly select one of your presets instead of one of these randomly generated panning cinematic views. I must have been using another airplane last time because I did like. So I'm just going to set up something here. So we'll turn this off. Go back to the captain's view. I'm just going to turn off my track IR, and we'll adjust the camera view here and generate a new camera view because what I liked. No, my mouse just died. Stand by one moment.
Fairway 355, radar contact 23 miles east of Remus. Oh, yes, moving. Center American on 42. 1142, good.
Sorry about that, guys. Battery in my mouse just died right then. I tend to go through a lot of these batteries. I must use this computer way too much. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate a new view. We're going to come just to the middle of the flight deck here, more or less. Just line ourselves up in the middle as close as possible. That's about right. And then we go backwards. And I just kind of like the overview, kind of like a jump seater, kind of watching what's going on view. Might be a little bit too far back. Go a little further up because it'll be more of the eye line of a jump seater. Go forward just a little bit here. You can also adjust the zoom so it kind of has a more wide angle or like a more zoomed in. Kind of like the wide angle thing going on for this one here. That gives you kind of a nice overview of what's going on in the flight deck. Might be a little bit too high here, so maybe we'll just come down a little bit here. Maybe we can even tilt down just a hair. Now it's a little unnerving because we're turning as well. And then so we hit plus and we can say this is a new preset and you can call it jump seat or overview or whatever you like, and it's there in your list. The reason why I want to generate that one, so let's just see where it falls in my preset list. I'm just going to move it up one because I like to have the EFB just before that. The reason why I like that one is now I can throw this on the cinematics and I can say jump seat to be part of my cinematics. So now when I toggle my cinematics randomly, this was random, this is going to be one of the views that it might load. So you might actually see this periodically now when I hit cinematics mode. You might periodically see this flight deck view in here. So it's not just external shots. Now I was a little bit misunderstanding. I thought when they said that they were adding internal views to cinematic, I thought that they would add like maybe like some slowly panning through the flight deck kind of views. So some of them might be internal. And I think they should do that. I think that would be neat. Maybe you could even have a slider for percentage of internal views, like 10% or 20% of the random views are going to be internal, where you just sort of pan through the flight deck. And I think that would be kind of a neat thing to see too. I think there's lots of neat views, probably favoring more generally looking forward than backwards. But I think that they could come up with something that would look really good. So, if you were to do, alright, let's turn off cinematics. But yeah, like if you were to do something like this and then just sort of have like where it's just sort of slowly scrolling through the flight deck, that would be kind of a neat way to do cinematics. And I think you could do that. I think you could do internal cinematics in the flight deck, and have it slowly pan through different areas. I would say generally you probably want to face anywhere no more than 9 degrees left or right. Like you really don't want to do a view like this. Like that's kind of I don't think it's one you're going to want to see too often in the random views. But I think that would be a really neat idea for Chaseplane to see if they could implement. Would be random views within the flight deck. Maybe a small percentage, 5, 10, 20% of the cinematics views could be in the flight deck, and you could just do like a scroll through. because a lot of these flight decks look really good on the inside. I think that would be a neat way to add, a neat feature to add. So, Chaseplane, I hope you're listening. Parallel 42 guys, I hope you're listening, because I think that would be a neat feature for you to try and tweak and add to the cinematics. I do like what you've done with cinematics, and the improvements are great. But I would like to see just like a slow motion, you know, pan through the flight deck, you know, forwards and backwards would be, you know, or even down, and panning while you're at it too. I can only change one thing at a time here with the sliders, but you know, you can slowly pan through the flight deck and just sort of observe what's going on.
1142, contact Washington.
That would be neat anyways. I think that would be great. That's just me. The other new tab that's here in Chaseplane, it's not really that crazy revolutionary or anything, but there's now a library tab here. All this really does at this point is just provide you a reminder that everything is now stored on your computer, shows you exactly where your library is in Chaseplane. So you don't lose your settings, and you can export them all in one go if you want to send them to a friend or back them up for yourself. I had a friend who asked me for some presets for an airplane that he bought that he didn't have any presets set up, and I said sure, hold on, and I zipped up some stuff for him. So they've made it a little bit easier now to find your presets, zip them up, etc. One thing that that you should do regularly is back them up, because that's a problem that I had in the past. Was when I reset my computer, I grabbed the wrong directory, and I grabbed what I thought were my Chaseplane presets. It turns out that they were not my Chaseplane presets. Turns out that they were that I did not actually save any of my presets, so all of them were wiped, unfortunately, which is a bit disappointing, because I had spent a fair bit of time creating certain ones that I had liked. So I was a little bit disappointed to see that go. So there it is, black and white, really super easy to find. That's where your Chaseplane camera presets are now saved. You can export them really easily. You can even import new ones, and you can move your existing library to a new location within your computer quickly, seamlessly within the software. So yeah, that's a simple addition, but I think that's important for people to realize with the new system, where the presets are not stored in the cloud but are stored locally on your computer. And it's always good to have stuff stored locally so you're not reliant on the cloud constantly. I really have issues in the modern day with this cloud-based software where nothing is ever stored on your computer, because what happens when you don't have access to the internet for whatever reason? You know, what happens if you have a technical glitch? What happens if someone comes and cuts your cable by mistake? I had that happen like a year ago or so, a year or two ago. Somehow somebody came and they upgraded the cable for a neighbor, and in that process they inadvertently cut our cable. And it took them about 2 to 3 days to get us internet access back. So I was reliant on mobile devices only for internet access for a couple of days, but most of my network computers were off the internet for a couple of days. So, you know, things can happen. And, you know, you can have firewall issues, you can have all sorts of network connection issues. So you need to make sure that you have local backups.
Jackson Center, good afternoon. Delta 465 on the ground at Jacksonville, ready to taxi runway 8.
Well, look, looking up ahead, it looks like there's a little bit of convective activity. I'll pop out the MFD to see a little better. Still a little bit of a grid pattern happening, but it's less than it was before, and there are different slides at least involved. So it's not a perfect system, but it's definitely an improvement from what it was before. So looks like there is some convective activity coming up ahead here we may have to deal with. There it is. It looks like our route is going to take us just to the right of it, so looking out the window there, there's a little bit of stuff out there, but I think we're doing pretty well. Just trying to remember now, where are we going to exit Jacksonville's airspace as well? looks like our route will take us just to the right, and then an M set will be leaving Jacksonville's airspace, so then we'll carry on from there. So that's about all I really wanted to show off. That was all that was new this week, was just the improved version of Chaseplane,
465, ready to go, runway 8.
which is a nice improvement. The cinematics mode, I think, is one of the strong features of Chaseplane. It's definitely not the only strong feature, but it's the one that I think still could use a bit of tweaking, could use a bit of an improvement. It's not bad the way it is, but it could use a bit of tweaking still. So, I hope that they will continue improving it. It has been a lot of very incremental improvements and very minor little bug fixes and stuff for quite a while now, so nice to see that they are still working on new features. It felt like it was a bit static for a while, but it was such a good piece of software, there was not a whole lot that had to be changed in any kind of urgent way about it, and I guess that's good. Like, it was stable, it worked very well with most airplanes anyways. Yeah. So I never felt like it was a piece of software that was in dire need of an upgrade or anything. Unlike certain other software, sometimes it is not as stable and ready, or maybe has more room for improvement. SimToolkit Pro one that comes to mind, but they are improving that quickly. There's a new version about to be launched. I think it's in the closed beta right now, so it'll be out very soon with quite a few improvements. So that'll be good. I was flying around in the FeelThere eJets the other day, and it just seemed like there's a huge room for improvement still in those. Apparently now they've made it so the doors basically don't work in those airplanes other than the main entrance door, which for some people is fine, but even just for GSX compatibility, you can't even open the cargo doors on those airplanes anymore. So it was one of those things that just makes you think, guys, what are you doing here? Like, your airplane is losing features over time. And still charging good money for it too. I'm more than a little disappointed in the version 3 of their eJets, because it does not feel like it was any kind of real improvement over the second version. The second version was quite good. It was okay. It was reasonable, but it feels like the third version was almost nil improvement over the second version. No noticeable improvement, anyways. So, to charge people an upgrade fee for that, it really kind of bugged me. So, I'm more than a little disappointed in that airplane. I think there's a large market.
Delta 465, continue left turn 270.
I think there's a large market in there for a very realistic Embraer model, and I think that FeelThere is dropping the ball on that one. Their model feels toy-like almost sometimes compared to some of the other more realistic models out there.
Delta 465, continue left direct jet and resume on navigation.
The one thing they do quite a good job on is the FMS. The FMS is a reasonable facsimile of the real. It's a reasonable facsimile of the real airplane's FMC, and it's not a cheap FMC. It is a bit of a complicated FMC. So that, I think, deserves some applause for the effort put into that. Some kudos for that, but. To drop door functionality like that one just sort of floored me when I read it. I'm like, oh yeah, no, we've dropped support. We basically dropped support for opening other doors other than the main, other than the L1 door. I'm just like, how hard is it really to model a couple of doors opening? There's not that many doors on the airplane to begin with. There are, on the 170, on the 175, there are 6 doors basically you need to model. A forward and an aft passenger door, a forward and an aft service door, and forward and aft cargo door. 6 doors. Yeah, not that hard. The fact that they dropped support for that, it really kind of bugs me, because that GSX still rolls right up to the airplane expecting the door to open, and then you find out, oh, the door can't be opened. Anyways, that bugged me when I discovered that the other day. Anyways, on our way back to Toronto, if anyone's got anything else to talk about, anything else new and exciting in the flight sim world, I don't think there's too much new and exciting still, just more previews of the next version of Microsoft Flight Sim. Still previewing it endlessly. I still think it's going to be a while to go. Actually, there's one I almost forgot about. I read about it this morning, and I forgot about was for those of you guys that did not see the news, Thrustmaster just announced a brand new product, kind of out of the blue, that's going to be available in a week. And I don't think there was really too much advance notice about this, but they are moving into the civil aircraft hardware line, and this is something that I'm happy about, because Thrustmaster has got a very good reputation for building some very high quality flight sim hardware joysticks, you know, more targeted towards military flyers. Though I think my FO turned that switch off without me even realizing it. No, the switch is still there. You just reset it, I guess. Got about 80 kilos left to use up, so we'll see how much of that 80 kilos we can use up before we actually turn those switches off. He'll turn them off anyways when we get down to about 20, I think, for me. Yeah, so Thrustmaster announced that they are moving into the civilian line of flight sim hardware with a flight stick and a throttle quadrant, two separate products, flight stick and a throttle quadrant, that are officially licensed by and very closely simulate the Airbus side stick and throttle quadrant, the two engine throttle quadrant, which of course 99% of the Airbuses out there I think are the two quadrant anyways, two throttle anyways. But I have to say, like, it looks like they have come up with some very high end some very high end hardware that does not look, or does not cost high end. So you can do a quick Google search out there, a YouTube search out there, but it looks really quite good. And it came kind of, like I said, like out of left field. I had no idea they were working on anything civilian. I kind of dismissed them because they were using strictly joysticks, not control columns. And I'm more of a control column person because I tend to fly airliners and GA aircraft, so usually more control columns than side sticks per se. So I always thought that the Thrustmaster side stick would not be something that would be on my radar, because it's also got more of a military feel to it. It has a whole bunch of trigger buttons and things like that, which give it a very military feel. But the civilian version, it looks very much like the Airbus civilian, side stick. It's very not a whole lot of triggers and buttons on the yoke itself. There's an autopilot disconnect button, and there's a hat switch on it, I think, probably just to help mostly with the views, but it really...
737, contact Washington Center 133.72.
Sorry, was that Transat 3257?
To Washington Center on 133.7 to Southwest 737.
What airport are you at?
Almost used up the field. What was I saying? Yeah. So they're there. He flicked them off for us.
Off.
Checked. Yeah. So they really are quite good looking. They're very realistic looking. Apparently, they're pretty much for the side stick is pretty much a 1-to-1 scale model of the Airbus side stick, and like as I said, it's officially licensed Airbus product. So it they probably are working from the actual plans, from actual models to build these.
5490 Echo, that is actually Tampa Approach Airspace, Miami's airspace.
Hold on, let me just check. See if I can
roughly 2-3 miles north
find some images here. Here we go. Anywho. Let's see if I can...
Richard 653 clear Orlando Airport as filed, maintain 5,000, spec by
just trying to find it here.
6010 minutes after departure. Departure is 12477.
Yeah, there we go. So,
correcting 250.
a very, sort of, it's minimalist. It's not got all the buttons and bells and whistles of a...
That was my mistake on the
military style joystick, but it has the look and the feel of an Airbus side stick. It does have the high end Thrustmaster components in it, and the thing that really amazed me is the price is actually very reasonable, I think, for what is going to be probably a very high quality device, which is, I believe, $70 for the side stick, and then I think it's going to be $100 US, $70 US for the side stick, $100 US for the throttle quadrant. So you can see there's a throttle quadrant. It very much resembles the Airbus throttle quadrant, dual throttle quadrant. I think it's a little bit small, perhaps, but it's certainly the right style. You can see it's got the start switches also modeled here, and apparently, from what I have read, it does have, this angle is not very good, but it does have the reverse levers on here, and they are functional. They will actually transmit to the sim a reverse axis, and you'll be able to use them to reverse the aircraft. It also, because it models the Airbus, it has the detents in it as well for idle, for climb, flex takeoff, max takeoff. It's got all the detents in there, and apparently the detents are can be deactivated as well, so that you can use it as simulate any other aircraft that you like as well. So it's not just restricted to only being useful as an Airbus product, but this is what's new from Thrustmaster now. So these are coming out next week, I believe. They just basically announced it today. They posted some review videos, some first look videos from a whole bunch of famous simmer channels, which of course I don't fall into that category, at least not yet, maybe one day. But I have to say, from what I saw, they look really good and very reasonable price points, I think, for what they are. I compared to what, you know, some simmers end up having to pay for realistic looking throttle quadrants, realistic looking you know, side sticks or joysticks or control columns. Some of them are quite heavily priced, and I understand that in certain respects. I understand that there's a small market for these things, especially non-military people like, you know, jumping in military, playing military fighter jets and that sort of thing, and they like jumping in and doing that. So, you know, the civilian targeted control flight sim hardware is a pretty small market, so you have to recoup your costs. It looks like probably what they've done is they've kind of reused some of the designs of the previous of their previous products. You know, use the same kind of functionality, the same basic parts built into a new frame to look like something different, but you know, the same kind of basic underlying hardware for translating the throttle positions and the side stick positions into you know, electronic signals. So not having to totally reinvent the wheel, but very reasonable price points, I think, for these items, which is surprising usually when you get things, especially officially licensed. These are supposed to be officially licensed by Airbus. Usually you throw officially licensed on there, that means, you know, each one of these they sell, they got to shoot $10 to the or $5 to Airbus for every single one of these they sell. So to get the price points where they are, $70 US for the side stick and $100 US, I think, for the throttle quadrant, I think that's going to be a really good. I think it's going to be a really good seller. I think there's going to be a lot of interest in that. I'm interested. I'm not probably sold on the side stick per se, but the throttle quadrant, especially with detents, with functional reversers, and also you know, an auto throttle disconnect switch on each side. That right there, that's huge to me. Those are things that really kind of piqued my interest,
so you're still Tampa's airspace,
to say the least.
If you're going to go IFR, do you want 6,000 or 7,000?
I think we're just coming to the end of Jacksonville's airspace here very soon now. I think we got Washington Center online. I'm not sure if we're going to get into their airspace here. I think we will for a little bit. I think we're going to be out in Atlanta's airspace for a bit, and then we'll go back into Washington's airspace in a little bit.
5490 Echo, you're clear to cross city, radar vectors outside, maintain 6.
So another, yeah, it looks like we're about 20 miles or so from getting out of their airspace this way, and then we'll, what we may do is step away for a little bit, just for a little break, and return in after about 15 or 20 minutes when we enter into Washington's airspace. It's not going to be long. It's going to be less than 100 miles by the looks of it. So.
Spirit Wings 355, losing my airspace to the west. Houston's offline, mine, Unicom 122.8.
And I didn't even notice, sorry, Canadian Haze, I didn't notice you were still commenting there. My apologies, I was scrolling through articles here. But yeah, he mentioned that for what it was, the eJets version 2 was pretty good. And I have to say that I kind of agree with that assertion. That for the release date being, you know, that was what, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago? That's quite a few years ago anyways when they released version 2. Then it was, I won't say it was cutting edge, but it was definitely sort of fit into almost the higher end models, because the FMS was really the key to that airplane. That made the difference between it being you know, a really cheap model or a really reasonable model, and the FMS was pretty good. The trouble is, I feel like they stood still. Version 3's released, I don't see that much more. I see like the textures are a little better, perhaps, the PBR modeling, but a lot of the models in the flight deck still look very clunky. They haven't added much functionality to the flight deck. You know, they still, half the switches don't even do anything, which is disappointing because a lot of them would not take a whole lot to simulate. So, yeah, I'm disappointed with version 3. I was expecting a much bigger improvement, and it seems like they redid some things, but the improvements were not revolutionary. They barely even worth an upgrade fee. You know, that's my impression of it anyways. I don't notice it. The exterior modeling is a little bit nicer, I think, than before. But the exterior modeling is a little nicer. But the flight deck modeling looks about the same. It looks kind of toy-like in a lot of ways, sadly. The textures are fairly cheap. You know, like I said, like a lot of the knobs, even if they don't do anything, the fact you can't even turn half the knobs, it's a little disappointing anyways. Getting more traffic out here nowadays. Got one guy here. Bit of a conflicting heading.
Transat 3257 Lima airspace to the north. Atlanta's offline. Martin Unicom 122.8.
Order Unicom 122.8. Transat 3257. See you.
See you.
Alright. Back to Unicom. For a little while here anyways, because we're going to be in Washington Center's airspace before you know it. But there we go. So I'm going to step away for just a few minutes, probably for about 30 minutes, if even that. How long till we get to Lund? Let's just do it this way. Lund 1833, that's 15 minutes from now. So I guess I'm stepping away for a bit.
On a bit later.
15 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll talk to Washington Center. So thanks guys for watching, appreciate it. Stick with me. Come back in 15 minutes if you're not going to stick with me right now, and we will we'll resume our commentary on our flight back up to Toronto in just a few minutes here. So let me just update this here. And you can enjoy the brand new cinematics from Chaseplane. And we'll be back in just a little bit, guys. Thanks for watching. guys. Captain Naps is back in the flight deck again, but I'm going to just enjoy looking out the window again for a little bit longer because this is a nice model of the 737. I really have enjoyed it, and I'm enjoying these Chaseplane cinematic views. So we'll leave that running for just a little bit longer. They are changing way too quick though. This is going to look interesting when I speed it up to 10 times speed for the video, but I do like this kind of one where it flies from a, you don't even see it and then it just flies away to distance. For a moment you think it's broken, you're like, there's not even an airplane in the shot, and then slowly you see it disappear there. But I turned down the interval, the length of these cinematic views for quite a while because I was just experimenting with the system and I wanted to see them change more often, but now I realize that it's changing entirely too often. It's going to look ridiculous on my sped up view, so I'm going to go ahead and increase this back again to the normal one and just manually change angles when we want. It seems to be getting a little bit rockier out there. Let's have a look and see what's going on in the flight deck. There's a little bit of convective activity around us, but it looks like our path is pretty clear right now. And we should probably be dialing up Washington Center here. Looks like we are, where are we here? Oh, we are quite far inside Washington Center. We're farther than I realized. 3372, I didn't mean for it to fly that far into it, so let's dial them up really quickly here.
45, yep.
Washington Center, good afternoon, Transat 3257, flight level 350.
Transat 3257, Washington Center, hello sir, cycle transponder, squawk 0565.
Okay, new code 0565 coming up, transponders, or Transat 3257. .0525, that was it, right? I just confirmed the code for the Transat 3257. Was it 0525?
Transat 05, correction. Transat 3257, squawk 0565.
0565, sorry about that. That 3257.
No worries. Amerijet 619, proceed direct.
Too distracted by my own self to even get that right. There we go. Alright, not too much other. Looks like we're probably leaving most of the convective activity behind now. Let's check STKP for the real world convective.
42 vacating 37.
Overlay.
1142, firm.
Looks like I lost the weather radar overlay here anyways. I got a little further north there than I expected there. Making good time here. Still got about an hour to go until we land at Toronto, I believe here. Have a little look-see here. Yeah, 1939 still showing pretty solidly there. But we should be getting an ATIS for Toronto in the next 20 to 30 minutes here, and then we'll start setting up for our arrival once we do. Alright, anyways, as we're proceeding northbound, I mean, it is Friday today, so FNO's coming up today. For anyone that's interested, it's the cargo hubs, Memphis and Louisville, KSDF. Are the two focal points of the FNO tonight. So they've switched away from. They did a couple times this last month or so, where they had the open mic night, where basically any and every ARTCC was encouraged to participate in FNO and forward at least one airport, which is really kind of neat because it decentralized the whole thing. Instead of being one airport so slammed, so unbelievably slammed, that they can't even deal with the traffic, to kind of distributing it, knowing that there's going to be a lot of ATC online and you only have to just pick where you want to go.
Radar contact 12 miles northeast of Lewisburg VOR, flight level 350, welcome.
Thank you. So it was kind of a neat concept. I kind of like that idea. It's not something you want to see all the time. It is nice to have focal point airports as well, but it's kind of neat to once in a while to just have like such a random one, because the volume of traffic showing up at most of these airports was completely unrealistic, even for the real world. You'd seldom see that much traffic trying to get into one of these airports. So it's nice to see it kind of spread out to be a little bit more of a realistic traffic pattern, perhaps. And then for those of you that are not busy on Saturday, of course, only those who watch the Twitch stream will know this, because by the time the YouTube video comes out, this will pass, but the Vancouver FIR is having their poker run, which is, I won't say it's an annual thing, but it's a periodic event anyways. I think they try to make it once a year. Which is, a poker run is a really kind of a fun activity if you've got a couple of hours to kill and an airplane at your disposal. And this is one that's done in the real world a fair bit. oftentimes guys that own GA airplanes are looking for a reason to go and fly them, a place to go, because you end up going to the same airports over and over again, the same kind of local airports. You can only go for the same $100 hamburger so many times before you say, what else can I do? So the poker run is something that's this is stolen from the real world. The whole concept is basically you fly around to multiple airports and try to collect as many playing cards as possible. The person with the best poker hand at the end of the event, at the end of the day or whatever, wins a prize. So you have basically every time you land at a certain airport, you go to there's people manning like a booth or a station at the FBO or the shop or the restaurant at each of these multiple airports. You go, when you land successfully, you get one card each time you show up. And so you try to get to as many airports as you can, hopefully ideally 5, and then maybe you can get a good poker hand. Even if you get 2 or 3 and you end up with a pair or three of a kind, you might get a decent score. And whoever has the most, not necessarily the most cards, but the best poker hand out of the cards they've got, wins the prize. So Vancouver is having this kind of an event tomorrow on Saturday. That's June the 20th. So by the time this comes out on YouTube, you guys will have missed it, unfortunately, but hopefully it'll come out again. Featuring a number of different airports, I think 5 different airports on the southern half of Vancouver Island. So basically you have to hop in your favorite GA airplane because jets will not really handle this. A lot of these airports are much smaller airports with small, short runways. You wouldn't be able to really do it with anything much bigger than a light twin. So it's kind of fun because it's a slower speed, GA paced. You can do it all VFR if you want to. You could file IFR, but it's almost not worth the effort. You just land, pick up a card, and hop up in the air and get going to the next airport as quickly as possible. The other fun thing is that for something that happens very rarely is that most of these, or I think the majority of these airports, are uncontrolled airports normally. But in the real world, there are flight service stations that provide aerodrome advisory services for these airports, and we will be simulating those simulating those airport advisory services. So these are not towers, but these are flight service stations, flight service specialists sitting at the airports. They monitor what's going on around the airport. They communicate with pilots. They provide weather information, traffic information. They don't provide any kind of control. They just simply provide the information as to what is going on at the airport, any other airplanes to watch out for, but it's up to every pilot to determine how they want to best handle the situation. It's still an uncontrolled airport. The flight service specialists are just there to provide information, to provide, as I said, the 2 types of information: weather about the airport, so they'll have an up-to-date altimeter and setting and wind reading, and any traffic around. So rather than trying to figure it out by looking at the VATSPY window and trying to see everything looking out the window, everybody who calls up the flight service specialist writes everything down and is able to quickly read back, yes, there's such and such airplane inbound from the south at 3,000 feet, estimating the field at this time. And it's up to the pilots still to communicate on frequency and determine exactly how they're going to join, what they're going to do, and who's going to go first and second and so forth, but just provide one person who kind of facilitates information and helps pass information to everybody at the airport. So it's something that's not done very often, but that's, I think, what makes it all the more interesting and challenging on the VATSIM network is things that don't happen all the time become a little bit more interesting. So I'll be excited to see how many people participate in that. There are some good prizes, actually. There is a jackpot. There's a number of prizes. It's a jackpot is mostly composed of FSEconomy prizes. So there's quite a big pot of FSEconomy money that is available to be won. I think the first place winner is going to win like 50,000 FSEconomy dollars, and then there's 5 or 6 other people below that will place, and I think one person is even going to win an FSEconomy airplane. So anybody who's into FSEconomy, especially, chance to win big here. Very little to lose. Just go out there, fly an airplane around. You don't have to fly it through FSEconomy. You just have to participate on the VATSIM network and collect cards on the VATSIM network. They'll be randomly generated by one central person who is monitoring the situation and issuing cards as people land at various places. They'll be using a random generator from the internet. That'll also be live streamed just to confirm that it's all being done fairly and the contest is being conducted fairly, and there's no bias or cheating trying to get anybody in particular to win a prize. But I thought it was neat to give away FSEconomy dollars because it is a prize that it has some value, at least to certain people anyways. So I thought that was a really kind of neat prize concept on the VATSIM network to give away FSEconomy money. So anybody who's interested in that, that's Saturday. That's happening for a good portion of the day on Saturday. Dust off your favorite GA airplane and go fly around Vancouver Island. Beautiful scenery too, so it's really great to enjoy that, just to see that scenery. I don't see too much more weather out here. I think we got almost a straight shot now all the way back to Toronto from here. What do we got? We got less than... Let's see that. We got about 300 miles to go to Toronto now, so we've probably got about about 200 miles to our top of drop. So in about another 100 miles, we're going to start really setting up its arrival. We'll start to see Toronto Centre scroll on very soon. Not Toronto Centre, but Toronto Arrival anyways is online right now. So we'll see them scroll in very soon here. Just about to cross Ricks. After we turn at Ricks here, it's basically a straight shot to Oxman. No Cleveland Centre online, unfortunately. No Toronto Centre online either, but we do have Toronto Arrival, and that's great. So at least through the whole arrival process, we will have some control today, so that's good. And we'll see what runway we get assigned there. If I was a betting man, I'd say 24, right? But that's assuming the weather hasn't shifted too much from what it was before. Or the weather at least has stuck to the forecast. Yeah, 1:30 at 7. They might be doing 6 left. It might go either way here. It's pretty light wind though, either way, so we'll see what they want to do. So I'm curious to know if any of the other viewers here has built any real kind of dedicated SimPit at this point. Something I've been contemplating for a while now, and trying to think of different ways. The desk I have that I use for simming is not ergonomic at all. It was designed with very different purposes in mind, and we actually built this desk ourselves to fit into a condo we lived in years ago. Brought it with us to our house, and then it really is just, it's not particularly well set up. There's a lot of storage, but there's not actually much room under the desk to even swing your legs under, let alone put a computer under there. So it was not particularly well set up, and especially for what I'm doing right now. So I'm contemplating now rebuilding, or possibly just starting fresh with a new desk set up just for simming. I think the biggest thing on my wish list is to have thrust levers be in a more realistic position, to have some sort of a center console where I can drop the FMC, where I can drop my CDU, my tablet CDU, and my throttle quadrant. I think that would be the two biggest things that I would like to see, is have those there. But also have a little bit more space for rudder pedals underneath the desk. It's very crowded underneath the desk, unfortunately. As I said, it was never designed with this intended.
Jet 3257, you're leaving my airspace to the north. Cleveland Center is offline. Radar services are terminated. Frequency change to approve. Have a great flight.
Okay, off to Unicom 122.8 for Transat 3257. Thanks for the service. Have a great day. Alright, and back to Unicom again. Nothing much happening until we get to our top and drop, but that's not going to be very far away now, so we'll carry on here. But yeah, so this desk is quite old. It predates even my VATSIM days, I think. It's a good 15 years old, if not more, so it's served its purpose well, but I feel like it's just it's just not configured for what I'm trying to do in the sim anymore. So curious to see if some other sim setups before I really kind of make a move into what I want to do. I'm contemplating building almost a full-size mock-up just to make sure that everything sort of fits together the way I envision it. It's going to be an interesting undertaking anyways. Might take a little while to really complete it, but maybe at least make things a little more handy. One of the biggest problems that I've found with the SimPit, and maybe other people can give me their take on how they deal with this, but trying to match together a keyboard and a control column and have both of them sort of be in front of you. The trouble with my SimPit is not just a flight simulation computer, it's also just a general gaming computer. I play other games. I don't just use flight sims. And it's also sometimes do some work on this computer as well. So I have I have a yoke mounted right in front of me, and then I have the keyboard off to one side, mouse off to the other side with the throttle quadrants. Like, it's very kind of awkward because the mouse and the keyboard are so far apart compared to a normal desk, and it really begs the question of how do you deal with this? Because the keyboard is pretty much the ideal height for a keyboard is right where the ideal height for a yoke is. So, you know, normally when you're simming, the yoke is kind of your primary input device, and the mouse as well. The keyboard doesn't usually do a whole lot, a couple of key presses here and there, but it's not something you're using that commonly. But when you're playing other games that are keyboard-based, you know, and any kind of action games or anything where you're using the keyboard quite a bit more, it would be nice to have the keyboard more in front of you. So I've been trying to reconcile this, and how can I put the keyboard and the yoke kind of in the same place and have them easily trade places. Things I've considered are having like a flip-up shelf for the yoke that flips the yoke right out of the way without having to unplug it or unbolt it constantly from the desk. That's the trouble. Like, I don't want to be unbolting this thing constantly. I want something that transitions, you know, with a couple of moves, but you know, can transition in about 30 seconds from a flight sim to you know, a normal keyboard. So this is probably my hardest thing that I've been debating, and what I've sort of come to a conclusion might be the best approach. Is to get some kind of a movable keyboard stand that I can then move in front of the yoke. I can move it off to one side, but then I can move it back in front of the yoke when I want it in front of the yoke. The trouble is, like, a lot of these keyboard stands are very expensive. It's a very niche market, but something that kind of, you know, something on an articulating arm that swings, so that I can swing it in front of me when I'm ready to sort of game. Hopefully it's solid enough, and that's the other thing, is I hope that these are solid enough to meet this result. Solid enough when you want to do gaming, but then also just sort of move it off to one side, still have it accessible, but sort of just off to one side when you're simming, when you're flight simming. This is probably the biggest debate I'm having right now, is how can I do this? This is probably why I'm going to end up building a full-size mock-up to see how well a couple of different ideas work here to sort of make it a multi-purpose space that can serve multiple purposes. Awfully quiet on the network right now. We're gonna get there soon. There's only 2 more centers anyways. We're passing through Cleveland Center, and then it's just a short stint in Toronto Center. Well, pretty much by the time we kind of reach about midway through our descent here, we'll be on with Toronto arrival. So as long as they don't log off anytime soon, which I don't think they're going to, because I think that controller just logged on a short period of time ago. It looked like there was another controller online. It looks like they actually did a swap, which is good, because sadly, unfortunately, it looks really quiet right now for this guy. I hate to say it, but looks really quiet in Toronto right now. One departure right now. No arrivals just yet. I think we're going to be the next arrival, sadly, in about 30 minutes or so, but then there's going to be a couple of arrivals, I think, sort of back to back, about 2 or 3 of them anyways, in about 30 minutes, and hopefully a few more might show up. Being a VATSIM controller sometimes can be frustrating, because the traffic sometimes is there and sometimes it's not. You never know what you're going to get when you log on. Sometimes you see the traffic's there and you log on and you deal with it right away, but sometimes you never know, and then you deal with, or you log on, you have a whole bunch of traffic, and you deal with it, and 20 minutes later, and all of a sudden it's super quiet, and then, you know, what do you do then? Now, one thing I'll say to all of you pilots out there is, do support your controllers. When you see the controllers online, do try to fly with the controllers that are there as best you can, within reason, because, you know, it's something that people do if there are no airplanes. Like, even flying on the VATSIM network when there's no controllers around, you're still doing something. But when you're controlling on the VATSIM network and there's no pilots around, you're just about doing nothing. So maybe you'll find something else to sort of distract yourself while you wait for people to show up. But chances are, if it's really quiet and boring, you'll probably log off before too long. So I think a lot of people do this. When they see controllers online, they want the controls. So they tend to log on and tend to start doing stuff, you know, pretty soon after pilots, when they see a controller log on, they'll get on there soon, and they'll start providing some traffic sooner rather than later, hopefully. But you never know. All right, let's see. We do have Toronto arrival and departure. I don't see the Toronto ATIS yet, though, guys. Is it on? It says it's on. I must just not quite be in range yet. The ATIS is for Washington, Detroit, Newark, Dulles, Norfolk, and I don't even know what KPHF is. KPHF. I have no idea what KPHF is. I haven't the faintest clue. KPHF. KPHF. Newport News, Williamsburg, Virginia. Wow. I didn't even know they had a tower there. Not to say it's not an important airport, I just don't. It's a part of the world I'm not familiar with, but it's funny. Like, most of the time I can recognize most ATC call signs without hesitation. So when I see one that stumps me, I find that surprising. I find that something that I do not see very often. Is a call sign on this network now that stumps me as far as ATC is concerned. Certainly in North America, anyways. I'll say when you get to Europe, I'm somewhat familiar with Europe. When you get outside of North America and Europe, I'm lost. I don't know airports. I don't know call signs very well. But to stump me within North America, that is not it doesn't happen too often, anyways. Let's put it that way. All right, so we're getting close now. We are getting to within probably about 100 miles of our top and drop here, which is generally the time when they want to start setting up here. Let's see, top of descent, 123 miles. Yeah, generally 100 to 150 miles from your top of descent, because you want to be ready. When you reach that top of descent point, you want to be fully ready. You don't want to be still messing with stuff. The other day I did a flight. I did a flight from Seattle out to Chicago, and I ended up having to cut it short and divert it to Minneapolis along the way to Chicago, just because it was it had taken longer than I had anticipated. I need to get logged out sooner than later, so I ended up diverting. And I did it when I was pretty close to Minneapolis, I think about 100 miles away. Man, was that just a cluster of work. I had to start descending like immediately and start turning towards the field, and I was still high the whole time on the approach. I almost had to do a go-around because we ended up being so hot and high, just even as we're coming into the approach. Couldn't even get the airplane slowed down, even with full speed brake, just because it was I tried to divert from so close. So I was trying to brief myself. I was trying to set up frequencies and minimums and altimeter setting, and brief the FO and bring up the charts and make sure we were meeting all the restrictions and hustling down, and it was just absolutely ridiculous. Sometimes you just need time to take a breather and just rather than try and rush through things. So I feel pretty happy with myself with the decision we made on the way down to Orlando, where we just said let's just take a couple more miles of vectors, and the guy just basically gave me a 360 back onto final line. You know what? I was okay with that. I probably could have made it down, but sometimes it's just easier, especially single pilot, to just keep things a little simpler. Likewise, when he suggested we change runways from the left side to the right side in Orlando just for a shorter taxi, if I had an FO next to me that I trusted, I would do that, especially VMC. But when you're flying single pilot, there's a lot you have to do by yourself, you know, and especially a runway change that happened at the last moment. And it was in this airplane, in the 737, you know. If you change in the FMS, it doesn't change the radio frequencies. You still have to change the radio frequencies and inbound courses manually, and I didn't even have the chart up. I was not ready to do it, so I just said, no, we'll take the longer taxi, we'll go with what we planned, because it's just too much work otherwise. Alright, anywho, let's start getting set up for the arrival into Toronto. So, let's pull up the ATIS. Alright, so here we go. Get it via the A cars. Toronto International Information, Quebec. Weather at 800 Zulu, winds 140 at 7. Visibility 15 miles. Few clouds at 7,000. Towering cumulus. Few clouds 26,000. Temperature 28, 2.17. The altimeter is 3001. We can set that before I have a chance to forget. This one. 3001. Perfect. The approach is the RNAV X-ray runway 24 right. That is a curfew type of deal there. Wonder why we're doing RNAV X-ray. Departure runway 24 right. Brake advisory. You mean braking advisories. Inform ATC if unable. RNAV X-ray 24 right. Approach. What the hell? I haven't done an RNAV in a while. Let's do it. Alright, so let's do it here. So let's get set up here. It's timed out. One day I will disable the timeout on this, or certainly lengthen it anyways. Alright, let's do this. Bring this up. Alright, so we're going to change our arrival. Not the runway, but the approach. RNAV X-ray. Runway 24 right. And then I have to look up the transitions. So let's do this. Let's use that EFB to my advantage here. Show menu. Chart clip. Alright, and cancel changes. We need to go CYYZ. That's where we need to edit the clip. Okay, so we got the airport pages. Let's go. I'm just going to bring up all the charts we're going to need now. Parking position coordinate, apron procedures, parking coordinates. That's the one. The arrival is going to be the Ling arrival. 23s and 24s. And then the approach. RNAV X-ray. I obviously missed it somewhere here. RNAV X-ray 24 right. There it is. Loading chart. So from the south, the transition is going to be via nougat. So we're going to get a good yummy nougat going there. No change to the arrival procedure to the star, so we can just hit execute on that. That'll change things very slightly, but not too much. And actually I have to ask the FO. Let's start setting up for the descent.
Check.
And that just makes it do a few things. Alright, so let's just look at the minimums on here. LNAV, VNAV minimums of 977. Almost there. A little bit too soon. Wouldn't that have been great if I'd stopped right on there? It is 977. Alright. While we're at it, we can also put in the ILS frequency just as a backup. It's 1093 for 24 right Toronto. I've done it enough times in my life to know it off by heart. 1093. The inbound course is 237. Set course 237 on your side. Set course on your side 237. There he goes, he's doing it. He listens to me. Oh, there is some convective activity coming up ahead here. We may have to do some diverting sooner than later. We'll see how it works out. The other thing we also should do is just some quick takeoff or landing performance calculations. Let's go now, menu, performance. Let's see here, show landing, show en route, CYYZ. Search ident. Okay, we're going to do runway 24 right. I'm going to put it wet, because there is towering cumulus, there's a chance of storms around Toronto. So we're just going to make it wet just to kind of cover our bases, make sure that we have sufficient performance in case the weather does deteriorate on us for any reason. Let's see here, the temperature in Toronto is 28, that's about 84 maybe? Who knows? Oh, I'm good. Wow. Honestly, like, this is one thing. Generally, this FMC or this EFP is really good, but we need to work on the units here. You need to be able to put in the temperature in Celsius, because that's what you get from a METAR. You don't get Fahrenheit. You get Celsius. So why would you convert it to Fahrenheit to convert it back? Dumb. I'm sorry, but that's just dumb. If every METAR comes in Celsius, we should be dealing in Celsius. The other one is landing weight. Should convert to whatever your airplane is in. So if your airplane's in kilos, the landing weight should be in kilos. Alright, I'm going to take no credit for the reversers. We're going to use them, but we're going to take no credit. We'll do flap 30, bleeds on, no anti-ice required. We'll do auto brake 2, and let's see here if we can get a landing weight. Gross weight 61.8 times 2.2. This is becoming too much math for me. Sorry, I'm just going to look at my calculator here. What did I say? 61.8? 61.8. About 136,000 pounds. 136,000. And what am I missing here? Oh, no non-normal, that's what I'm missing. Now I can do the calculation, thinking about it. Alright, for 136,000 pound landing, VREF 30 plus 5 is 149. Landing distance required 7,779 feet. What if we do auto brake 3 and recalculate? Then we go down to 6,004 feet. So let's do an auto brake 3 arrival. And let's set up all this as well. So RNAV, landing 30. Let's check terminal data here. So final approach fixed altitude is 2,000. Oops, I have to type in the number first. Thinking like a Dash 8 driver for a second here. 2,000. Minimums of 977. And the missed approach altitude should be 3,000. Yeah, 3,000. There we go. Auto brake's going to be 3. We're going to assume a wet runway as the XES. No single engine taxi. We're going to a gate. I don't know what one we're going to. We'll figure it out later. Delayed start on the APU. No concerns. Weather might be a concern. That's it. Anyways, I'm not playing the briefing, so it doesn't really matter too much what he says. Alright. Are you ready for the approach briefing?
Ready.
Okay. That's a lot of setup, guys. Okay, so let's see. Speeds are in, and the landing distance are checked. We're going to be doing the let's see. We're going to be doing the RNAV X-ray here. So first of all, we're going to be doing the arrival. The link to arrival into Toronto for the 23s and 24s. Let's see, the information's down here. It's on page 102D2, as I like to call it, on 20th of March 2020. No real notes on the plan here. I think there's standard notes actually here. There it is. RNAV 1 DDI GNSS, jets only, 100 miles safe, 4900, refer to continuous descent operations. We're going to hit up Oxman, Timmels, MyPal, and Ling. So let's just make sure we've got this in the corner here. I'm going to pull up the... Here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull that up, we're going to pull that up, and we're going to pull this up. And then we can do a nice briefing this way. So we got Tamils, MyPal, Ling. Then we do use 250 knots between 11 and 13,000. Bimpo at 210 at 8,000. And Verco, 210... Verco, no more restrictions after Bimpo. Verco, Mayrod, Dekni, Davno, Junal. And then a 057 vector after that until we get vectored around to the RNAV. Runway 24 right. RNAV X-ray runway 24 right. Page 12-14, effective the 21st of February 2020. WAS, no frequencies required. We can do a GPS check in a minute to see if we're going to have rain. Final approach course is going to be 237. You can see that, yeah, it's 238 in there. It's close enough. Glide path altitude at NOAA 2000. The LNAV VNAV MDA we're going to use is 977, which we've set. And the runway's at 546. Just check that against 550. Perfect. Check that against the pressurization landing elevation. 3,100 feet is the MSA, all sectors. Missed approach is climbed 1,100 feet, heading 237, and then a climbing left turn to 3,000 feet direct to Petfo intersection and hold there at Petfo at 3,000, which you see 1,100 and Petfo. Caution, don't land on taxiway Charlie, similar appearance to runway, 100 miles safe again, 49 simultaneous approaches with 23. LNAV procedures not authorized during simultaneous operations for encompassing Barrow VNAV systems. LNAV VNAV authorized below -23. Not applicable at all. It's a 3.1 degree glide path. And, yeah, 1 1/4 mile visibility required. PAPIs, RILS, SSALS lighting system. That's about it. We've got the fixes in there after Nougat, which is at 6,000. We got IGSUX, which has a max to 10 knots, and at or above 5,000, at or above 3,000, sorry, at or above 4,100 at Vobup, also max to 10 knots. And then Degbu max 190 knots, wherever it is. There it is, Degbu 190 knots. Yeah, That's it. All the fixes are on there. Landing, it's a convenient right turn off the runway. Not that one. That one. Convenient right turn off the runway. Given the wet runway, we'd probably make Charlie 4. If it's still dry, we might make Charlie 2. And it'll be probably a right turn on Delta, cross 33 right Alpha, back up to Terminal 3. Let's just have a quick look out the window and make sure I'm not missing anything obvious, like, you know, thunderstorms or anything. Nope, that's looking pretty clear up ahead, actually. Not too bad. We'll have to pick a parking gate still. And weather, possibly some convective activity is about the only thing we might have to worry about. It actually doesn't look too bad. Terrain, not an issue around Toronto. 3,100 feet, we'll clear the CN Tower. Operational, just need to check the NOTAMs, and I know we're approaching top of drop here momentarily, so we'll check that. I'm just looking at my other screen here really quickly, looking through Toronto NOTAMs. Delta 4 closed, Delta closed between Charlie 2 and Charlie 4 till 2100 Zulu. That's still valid, so maybe we'll get to taxi down Charlie or Victor. Echo between Victor and Charlie closed. Hotel 3, Echo between Hotel and November closed. Delta closed between Charlie 2 and Taxiway Bravo, so there's a bunch of stuff closed here. Victor, Bravo 4 closed, Taxiway Alpha and Hotel closed. Number 5, looks like a lot of repaving and construction work going on these days in Toronto, while the traffic levels are still low. So a few things that might affect our taxi route. I don't see too much else there. 0523 for departures only, landing not authorized. 24 left, depart 24 right, nope. Approach procedures, nope, nothing. That's it. And fuel, back to our alternate. We needed, I think we said we needed 3.1 to get to our alternate of Ottawa, and we're showing like 4.7 still, I think, in the tanks when we get there. And yeah, reset MCP altitude, so let's set this. I'm just going to spin that down for a second here. Just a quick prog check here so I can finish my briefing. 5.1 or 4.6 in the tanks. Get to Toronto and we land 3.1. So we got about 1,500 kilos extra. We can probably hold for about 15 minutes or so. Any questions?
No questions.
And we missed our top of descent point. Now I see we're actually above the path a fair bit here. So I've done an altitude intervention. The power is going to idle. And because there's no Toronto Centre online, I'm going to put 11,000. I might need speed brakes to expedite this descent here because we missed the top of the descent point. Just to sort of catch the path there. Descent checklist.
Descent checklist. Pressurization. Landing altitude is 550 feet. Recall checked. Auto brake level 2. Landing data.
VREF 144, minimums 977 feet.
VREF 144, minimums 977 feet. Approach briefing.
Complete.
Descent checklist complete.
Alright, the speed brakes are stowed. One important tip for all of you guys out there that are flying around in a jet, when you do use the speed brakes, always, 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 and this is why I like having speed brakes on my throttle quadrant here, always keep your hand on the speed brakes when they're deployed. It's very easy to forget you've got the speed brakes out. You can waste a lot of extra fuel, you can descend a lot faster than you mean to, and you can use a lot of engine power against them for no reason other than just you forgot they're out. So this is something that's hammered into most jet jockeys very early on in their career. When you use the speed brakes, you keep your hand on the speed brake lever until you stow it. Even if you're doing something else and you're just keeping them out there, you keep your hand on there to remind you that the speed brakes are open. Never take your hand off the speed brake lever until the speed brakes are stowed. And that just keeps you in the loop with the speed brakes, the fact that you are using speed brakes the whole time. Alright, we're getting there. We're getting there pretty quickly now. Less than a half an hour to go. I guess one thing we can do, I can't really do it actually, no, I can't research a gate because Transat still has not flown. Although Transat did announce, I think in the last week, that they are coming back to flying soon. They are in, I think in mid-July, they're gonna slowly resume their flying schedule. So they seem to think that enough people are feeling confident in the state of the economy and in the ability to travel that they're going to be returning to the skies with vacation traveling very soon. Because the majority of what Transat does is vacation traveling. It's discretionary travel, so it's very it's been very challenging for airlines that fall into that jurisdiction. Most of the airlines that are strictly vacation travel type airlines have pretty much just given up for the duration of COVID, because the only traveling happening right now is travel that is people feel is pretty much critical. No one wants to go on vacation right now because you have to get in quarantine for the first 14 days of your vacation when you get to your destination. So, and most people usually don't even get 2 weeks to travel or have time off. So, you know, to expect to spend more than half your vacation in quarantine waiting to get out again is ridiculous. Nobody wants to do that. So, it probably was the smartest move by most vacation carriers, just to cease operations temporarily. Save a lot of money that way, unfortunately, and I'm not saying that it's good for anybody. Like, it's not good for it's not good for the employees. Obviously, I feel very much so. I have quite a few friends that work for these vacation carriers. I feel very bad, guys, and I'm sorry that you guys are out of work. But I think we all recognize that in the long term, this was the right move for a lot of these companies to make, was just to cease operations altogether. Because trying to keep the operation going, you know, what good is an airline that goes bankrupt? You know, so they paid you for a couple more months, but then you lose your job permanently instead of being temporarily laid off and being able to get government assistance. And government assistance has been pretty generous, all things considered, for COVID-related layoffs and such. As long as you could prove that you lost a substantial portion of your income in Canada, anyways, they've been very generous. There was not a lot of proof required. People were able to access funds, and they weren't a huge amount of funds for most people. Most people, it was a pay cut of some degree, but of course the fact that we also were not going out and spending a lot of money too. Nobody was going out to eat. Nobody was going on vacation. You know, no one was going to stores buying things. Like, it really would cut down on our spending as well. Like, I found we actually almost, even though I was temporarily unemployed, I think I saved more money than I lost in income because of the fact that we were not going out to eat, we were not going out and buying things, we were basically just hunkered down with what we had, you know, at our disposal in our house. So it was really kind of useful like that. So definitely, you know, I think the government's really helped to step in and support people. Of course, we'll be paying for this for a while now. That money came from somewhere, and it's going to come right back out of all the taxpayers' pockets. But to keep the economy going, I think it was kind of a necessary step. Set 3001.
Altimeters reset. 3000.
It's supposed to be 3001, yeah. Am I allowed to insult my first officer? Am I allowed to say mean things to him? I think that's 3001, sir. Very good. Alright, here we come. Here comes Toronto, and here comes the slowdown in the frame rates. From the cruise frame rate down to the oh, you're landing in Toronto slideshow. What can you do? I think one thing I can do is I can definitely divert some processor power away from other things that do not need to be open. Anything else using up a lot of processor power at the moment? SimToolkit Pro is a bit of a resource hog sometimes. It's definitely got a little better now. Alright, let's go ahead and call arrival. Close enough. And we had information. Quebec. Toronto arrival, good afternoon, Transat 3257, 14,000 descending, 1000, information Quebec.
Transat 3257, Toronto arrival, good evening, squawk ident.
Here comes the ident, Transat 3257. Sometimes it's so hard to tell if that button works, I have to look at the V-Pilot to be sure.
Transat 3257, thanks, sir. Identified information, Romeo is current, altimeter 3001. When ready, descend 12,000, and you can expect the RNAV X-ray 24 right via Nugget.
1011.
Okay, I believe you said descend 12,000. We'll plan the RNAV X-ray via Nougat. We'll get Romeo, Transat 3257. So that was a sudden last-minute level off there.
230, turn right heading 240.
Right turn heading 240. Confirm a right turn 240.
Last call was for WestJet 230. WestJet 230, turn left heading 230.
That was obviously my mistake. Sorry, guys. My bad, my bad.
Turn left heading 230, WestJet 230.
Alright.
Transat 3257, descend 8,000.
Descend 8,000, Transat 3257. Alright, we're going to go back into level change here. We're going to bring the speed back. There's speed 250, 8,000 feet set. It's going to take a little while to decelerate. Okay, information Romeo, weather's winds 170 at 6, 7,000 TCUs, 6,000 scattered, temperature's 29 now, 30 inches. Cumulonimbus to the north and northeast. And what does this say? It says check altitude target. Oh, because we're below the restriction there before youth. Well, no, we haven't. We're still at 11,800, and we've got only just like a mile and a half to youth. By the time this airplane decelerates, we won't pass through 11,000 there. Approach checklist.
Altimeters.
3001 set.
3001 set. Approach checklist complete.
Checked. And I'm going to go ahead and get the seatbelt sign on now. Start securing the cabin, guys. I don't think we're going to make that mandatory BIMPO at 8,000 if I don't start really...
3257, turn right direct Nougat, descend 6,000.
Right turn direct Nougat, descend 6,000, Transat 3257. Alright, well that'll help. There comes Nougat. Confirm activate.
Confirm.
Helm having Nougat and 6,000 feet is set.
That's the thing happened, 6,000, that's just 230.
And we have to be 6,000 at Nougat, so that actually works really well here. That was the one other arrival that I noticed, and then it's probably going to be really quiet again in Toronto, I think, for a little while. Sadly. Oh, it's c'est la vie.
Cabin crew, prepare for landing.
There's the PA. And then we're going to hit 6,000 at the decel point, which is perfect, and we can start decelerating right at that moment. What was the speed limit passing Nougat? We'll go right to the RNAV X-ray. There was no speed limit at Nougat, but eJets, which is the next fix.
3257 via Nougat cleared the RNAV X-ray, runway 24 right.
Via Nougat cleared the RNAV X-ray 24 right, Transat 3257. Alright, we're going to get all the landing lights on, please. And speed brake is out. I got my hand still on it. As I said. Kind of catching up to our VNAV profile here, which is good. But this airplane is such a slippery one. She doesn't like to decelerate, so I really want to kind of get it down to 6,000 and start decelerating before we get to Nougat. There's the airport over there. Let's see how this works. I don't remember if there is a way...
WestJet 230, turn left heading 150.
I don't think there is a way to do a GPS check, is there?
Turning left heading 150, WestJet 230.
No. If there is, I don't know what it is. Again, nav status page just tells me the same thing here. No, I don't think it tells me anything useful, unfortunately. Alright, 7,000 sending 6,000.
1,000 to level.
Checked. And we'll start pulling the speed back here any second now. So the power doesn't even start coming up as we level off. Let's get that 210 knots in there. There it is. About level at 6,000, and then it'll just start decelerating as we level off, and the engines never came back up, which is great. You don't want that. The engines coming and going, it's not good for them to be constantly accelerating, decelerating. It wears them out prematurely. So you want to kind of try to avoid those unnecessary accelerations in the engine. That's where auto thrust systems sometimes kind of really suck, is they're very dumb systems. They just do whatever they have to get to the speed that's needed, and sometimes it's a good thing, but sometimes they can easily overdo it, especially if it's turbulent, then they can be constantly in and out, you know, up and down, trying to keep up with the speed, when really just averaging it out would be a lot less wear and tear on everything. Flaps 1. Flaps 1.
Flaps 1.
Alright, there's VNAV path.
Check.
Flaps 5.
Flaps 5. Flight deck. Okay, thanks.
She does not want to slow down, does she?
Secure.
She sped right back up there and does not want to slow down again. Might need the gear. She doesn't start slowing down in a second. She's a slippery bird. I got full speed brakes going here, and she's just barely decelerating. We're not even going down that fast. We're going down 1,200 feet per minute. It's really not a fast deceleration. So I set 2,000 now for the FAF altitude for the time being. Can I arm approach mode in this airplane?
Approach armed.
No, it's just going to do the localized with glide slope, so no, we're not going to do it.
Russia 230, turn left heading 06, sir.
Turn left heading 060, VATSIM 230.
Speed 180.
Checked.
While we're at it, we pick a gate. Alright, so Charlie gates for international arrivals. We'll do, actually, Bravo gates, I believe, or Alpha gates, if we got one. No, I don't want to do the Alpha, no.
Russia 230, descent 3,000.
Let's do,
Descent 3000, that's jet 230.
let's do Bravo 17. There you go, something a little different. Okay. NOAA's the final approach fix, still got a little ways to go. So we'll keep the speed at 180 for now. Feel like the speed's a little bit more under control than it was. Felt like we were really kind of accelerating downhill there, and she just did not want to slow down. So now we seem to be nicely solidly on the path here.
Transat 3257, contact terminal on 128.8, good afternoon.
Okay, over to 128.8, Transat 3257, good day.
Radio altimeter alive.
Check.
Cabin crew, take your seats.
Toronto Terminal, good afternoon, Transat 3257, RNAV X-ray, runway 24 right.
1,000 to level.
Transat 3257, Toronto Terminal, good afternoon. Winds are 1706, clear to land, runway 24 right.
Clear to land 24 right, Transat 3257. Alright, I set the altitude for the FAF altitude. We are cleared to land. Taxi light on. Set taxi light on.
Taxi light on.
Gear down.
Gear down.
Flap 15.
Flaps 15.
Stop popping out, you silly thing. Flaps 30.
Flaps 30.
Landing
Final
checklist.
Fix.
2190,
Check.
leaving my airspace to the east, Toronto Center is
This approach
offline.
altitude is
Radar
not set.
service terminated.
Landing
Change approved. Have a good
checklist.
flight.
Engine start switches.
Frequency change approved. Good day for Air Canada 2190. Thank you for the ATC.
Continuous.
Speed brake.
Armed.
Landing gear.
Down.
Flaps.
Flaps 30, green light.
Landing checklist complete.
Checked. Curious if I can do this. If I can do VNAV now. Yes. Now the misapproach altitude 3000 is set and we're locked on the VNAV profile. Looking good. Cleared.
Check.
Autopilot coming out.
Check.
Approaching minimums.
500 feet.
Checked.
Stable.
Checked.
Minimums.
Ground visible.
Landing.
Check.
Auto thrust coming off. Oop, don't overdo it. You try to be subtle with this control column, but you just
100.
over pitches all the time.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Speed brake up. Reversers normal.
Knock.
60 knots. Check. Auto
Might
brake disarm.
just make Charlie 2 here. Oh, I didn't think we'd make Charlie 2.
Check.
Tower, West 230.
Transat 3257, welcome to Toronto. Leisure Flight 1 and report clear.
Transat 3257 is clear on Charlie 2, gate Bravo 17.
Transat 3257, taxi terminal 3 via Charlie Alpha Kilo to the ramp.
Charlie Alpha Kilo to the ramp, Transat 3257, thank you. Charlie Alpha Kilo, so somebody was paying attention to the closed taxiways, which is great.
Tower.
Okay to clean up.
I'm on ILS to the right, West 230.
West 230, Toronto Terminal, good afternoon. Winds are 170, clear line runway 24.
Clear to land, runway 24 right.
It's a bit of a sharp turn there onto Charlie. I wasn't sure if we were going to get Charlie, so I didn't want to make this turn the early turn, just in case we didn't get it. Probably should have. Oh well. But there we go. We're here on our way to gate Bravo 17, which, let's just show the chart clip and say 17, I think, is right at the... 17 is at the end of the pier there, so it's right at the end. Okay, let's go. Let's go. We can do it. We'll deal with it. Alright, but there we go, guys. We made it safely to Toronto. Didn't botch the landing too much. A little over-controlled a little bit. Over-controlled a little bit on final there, and I find that without the force feedback, this, just with a spring in a, in a flight sim yoke, it can be hard to judge how much you're pulling back on something too. So it can be very challenging. So I do find I tend to over-control a little bit. But yeah, I'd say overall that did work out to be a fairly nice landing overall. I was pretty happy with that one for the most part. Definitely getting better at this airplane. getting more practiced at it, more nuanced. I do like this airplane a lot, so I am enjoying the opportunity to fly it. But there's another airplane over there somewhere. Speed brakes are still extended. I got rid of those. Give her some power up the hill here, because in the real world there's a bit of a hill up here. It peaks right around where Alpha Kilo is, so. And I believe you said enter the apron on Alpha Kilo. Just confirm for Transat 3257, enter the apron at Alpha Kilo.
Transat 3257, roger.
Thank you. Yeah, pretty much at Alpha Kilo it peaks. There's a big hill uphill.
One departure coming out of Terminal 3, but he'll be coming off of Alpha Juliet, so he should be alright.
Perfect, thank you. But yeah, I find it, yeah, there's quite the uphill here. You need quite a bit of power oftentimes to make it up this hill. And then you reach the top and you really have to just run it back to idle thrust, and you're rolling downhill just under your own power a lot of the time. We actually had landed quite a bit ahead of when we had originally shown. We were showing, I think we were showing 39 for landing. So we landed, I think just because we got the shortcuts from arrival, which thank you, by the way, arrival controller. I think we got about 4 or 5 extra minutes there out of that. So that's great. That's good. Get here a little earlier, go outside and enjoy some of this nice weather before it ends too quickly.
3 minutes.
Checked. 3 minutes engine cool down time, which means we're good to shut down the engines. Awesome, awesome. We can shut down, we can do single engine taxi if we wanted to. I don't see any TCUs, or yeah, I don't see any cumulonimbus anyways. No thunderstorms or rain showers moving in right now, which is great. Alright, so this next one here is Alpha Kilo.
Taxi to Terminal 3 via Charlie Alpha, Alpha Tango, WestJet 230.
Toronto departure Delta 2320 is ready for taxi.
Kill these turn-off lights, because normally we shouldn't have them on when we're taxiing around and just blind extra people. You just have just the nose taxi, unless you need them. If you need them, of course, use them, but especially daytime, you don't need them.
Taxi via Alpha Juliet, Bravo, and Charlie, hold short runway 24 right, and crossing the Air Transat 737, entering the ramp.
Roger, 24 right via Alpha Juliet, Bravo, Charlie, and holding short 24 right. And,
set taxi light to off.
737.
Taxi light off.
Delta 2320.
So that's the universal signal right there that says that you're giving way to somebody. Anytime you have the taxi light on, you're moving. If you turn the taxi light off, it means you're basically stopping, or that you have stopped, and that you're giving way to somebody. So, not that I think it simulates it well in the sim here. Anyways, I'm not sure if it even shows that my taxi light's off. But you want to be a good pilot, demonstrate good airmanship. Taxi light off when you're going to cut, when you're going to let somebody else go in front of you. Come on, Delta. Go, Delta. Come on, Delta. I can't tell if he's moving yet or not. Yes, he's moving. Okay, good. Our gate is at the top of the next pier, so just gonna give him, look at him, set taxi light to on.
Taxi light on.
Start the APU, please.
Starting APU.
Wouldn't have to stop that far away, really, but I just want to be really kind of signal to them that we were giving way. In real life, you just turn off the taxi light and slow down, and people usually can pick up on it. But in the sim, it's also sometimes hard to get these subtle references. If someone's moving slowly, it's hard to tell the difference between someone who's moving slowly and someone who's stopped altogether. So, sometimes you need to exaggerate things, stop way, way short of where you would actually need to, just to sort of emphasize what you're doing. Alright, so Bravo 17 is one of these gates here, and I think it's
Check.
lights and doors.
Check.
It's this one right here. You can see my marshaller is standing there now, so slow
Cabin
down
crew,
to a
disarm
reasonable
doors
speed
and
to make the
cross-check.
turn. As you approach the gates, you don't want to be going too fast.
Doors
8 knots kind of at a
disarmed,
max.
no
You
APU.
first check.
Toronto, good day at GAD 141 Heavy, ILS 24 right.
As you as you make the turn, you want to be 8 knots. You want to be just kind of slowing down continuously as you eke into the gate here.
Coast land 24 right at GAD 141 Heavy.
You don't want to be because you don't want to have to come to a sudden stop. You want to just gently decelerate. So by this point, you should be doing about 3 knots. Just let the airplane gently roll. Because it also gives you time to react to things as well. The slower you're going, the more. Because when you get close to these buildings, you never know what might happen. A vehicle might pop out at the wrong moment. Somebody might realize that something is actually parked in the way. A piece of equipment's parked in the way that shouldn't be. You know, there's all sorts of things that can go wrong. So pretty much moving at 1 knot now. Just eking forward here and. There we go. Alright, and generators are off the bus. Shut down checklist.
Stand by.
Turn off the weather radar before I radiate the person here in front of us. Very bad at turning them off after landing. It should be in the after landing checklist. Operate jetways. And now it's going to lose its connection to SOD, is it? Or is it just waiting for the engines to spool down first? Where are we? Oh, there we are. Come on. In the real world, they'd be driving that bridge over by now. Shut down checklist.
Stand by.
Shut down checklist.
Shut down checklist. Fuel pumps, off. Probe heat, off. Hydraulic panel, set. Flaps.
He never does turn off the hydraulics. Up.
Parking brake.
Set.
Engine start levers,
Cut off.
weather radar,
Off.
off. Shutdown checklist complete.
Check. Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead.
Please connect external power.
Roger. Connecting the GPU.
And that's it, guys. We're here. GSX is going to momentarily start offloading this airplane. I don't know where they all went, but I swear they were here a second ago. Something happened. Oh, there's the WestJet. I'm going to have to reset this here, because it's waiting for the jetway to still operate, so we got to reset GSX here. I'm glad they have that reset function in there now, because it makes it so much easier. Things just happen, especially with the jetways. The SO jetways don't always work properly. And they often GSX and SO lose their connection between one another, so it's nice.
The GPU is connected.
Thank you. There we go. So now here comes everybody to offload. And we can do that. And we can go ahead and shut off the APU. And that's it, guys. We're done. Season 3 of A Pilot's Life is complete. We're going to start offloading here at gate Bravo 17, but that is the end of it, guys. And there we go. My schedule is empty. Another leg complete, and I'm ready to use this wonderful generate schedule button for Season 4 sometime soon. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this as always. I'm looking forward to Season 4. It's probably going to be a little bit slower paced than Season 3 because chances are pretty good that we're going to be heading back to work very soon now. So that's going to definitely cut into the time we have available for streaming. Also the fact that it's just summer now, and it's just nice all the time. Makes it a little bit tougher to find the time for streaming, but that's okay. Happy to have had the time to do it anyways, and I've really been enjoying this. It's been a neat kind of set of adventures here with various airplanes, first with Encore and now with Air Transat, and we are going to stick with Air Transat definitely for the next season. Lots more destinations to explore. So thanks guys very much for watching. We will see you all real soon out there. Stay healthy out there. Stay tuned for the video on YouTube only soon. If you're not a subscriber on YouTube, subscribe, but I will show you just quickly how we generate schedules in a pilot's life. It's all that video is going to be, 10 minutes, just to kind of show you how I go through and pick the Season 4 schedule. So stay tuned for that. That'll come out shortly after this one does. As always, feel free to subscribe, and I will see you all out there very soon. Take care.